Chapter 228. The next morning, Han Fei went to Li Gang. Now, Li Gang had moved to the Blue Sea town. The village was mainly managed by Li Qing and Li Gan. When Han Fei arrived, Li Gang was directing the staff. Han Fei watched from afar and found that Li Gang seemed to be struggling to mobilize people. In the town, the fish dragons continued to recruit members. However, there were too many fishing masters in the town, and even great fishing masters came to apply for the position of manager of the Fish Dragon's hot pot restaurant. Although Li Gang had been promoted to a level 8 fisher, he couldn't control the situation any longer. Seeing Han Fei, Li Gang quickly ran over. "Young master, why are you here? Didn't you say that you went to the sea to train?" Han Fei said casually, "I'm back. By the way, did anyone cause trouble at our hot pot restaurant while we were away?" Li Gang paused and revealed an awkward expression. Han Fei frowned. "Is there really someone here?" Li Gang smiled bitterly. "Young master, not really. A great fishing master came to me and asked me to tell him the secret recipe of our hot pot restaurant. But how could I do that? In the blink of an eye, I went to find teacher Xiao Zhan and easily suppressed the situation." Han Fei nodded slightly. "What about the fish dragon card room?" Li Gang smiled awkwardly. Young master. Fish dragon card room." Seeing that Li Gang was hesitating, Han Fei took a deep breath and said, "Is there a problem? Tell me, I'm on vacation for the time being. I'll deal with it when I'm back from vacation." Li Gang scratched his head. "Young master, our printing technology has been stolen." Han Fei's face immediately darkened. "Who did it?" Li Gang stammered, This, just spit it out. Is there anyone in the Blue Sea town that the Thug Academy can't afford to piss off?" Li Gang, Black River Chamber of Commerce. Black River Chamber of Commerce? Han Fei remembered those people who wanted to take Master Turtle away. Weren't they from the Black River Chamber of Commerce? This Chamber of Commerce is so awesome. Are you trying to rob the fish dragons in broad daylight? Han Fei snorted. "Got it. I'll deal with it after my vacation." "Oh right, if you meet people from the Black River Chamber of Commerce, you don't have to give them face." He told them that the fish dragons were now under the protection of the Thug Academy, and they could do whatever they wanted. "When the time comes, I'll make them spit it out with interest." Li Gang immediately straightened his back. "Yes, young master." Thinking about it, Han Fei threw a plate ray to Li Gang. "This is a rare fish from the level 2 fishery. Eat it at home. It's very useful for fishermen. It should be enough for you to become a fishing master. But you can't eat too much, your physique can't take it." Looking at the 5-meter-long plate ray, Li Gang was shocked. A rare fish in the level 2 fishery. Was it edible? To him, this was simply a peerless contractual spiritual beast. Seeing Li Gang's expression, Han Fei couldn't help but smile. "It's nothing. After you finish eating, I'll give you some squid tentacles, so you can improve your strength as soon as possible. If you can't break through, go buy 2 spirit fruits for yourself. You should be quite rich now." Li Gang looked as if he had found a treasure. "Yes, young master. I'll eat it secretly at home and work hard to become a fishing master as soon as possible. Okay, I'll go back to the village on vacation. If something happens here, go to the school to find Luo Xiaobai. She's there." Leaving the hot pot restaurant, Han Fei went straight to the departure port. More than 2 hours later, Han Fei controlled the fishing boat and went directly to his cabin. He first went to the cliff cave behind, which had been covered with dust and seemed to have been uninhabited for a long time. But it made sense. The members of the fish dragons didn't know that there was a cliff cave behind the house. Han Fei cleaned up the cave a little and then climbed up the cliff. As soon as he walked to the front of the house, he saw 2 people coming towards him and about to enter the yard. "How dare you? Who are you? How dare you break into the old house of the leader of the fish dragons?" Han Fei blinked. "Don't you know me?" The 2 people were furious. Why should I know you? Boy, get out of here. This is not a place you can come. No, I have to check if anything is missing in the leader's old house. Han Fei smiled. This is my home. Can't I come? Your home? Are you kidding me? Who do you think you are? The two people suddenly shivered and looked at Han Fei in shock. Han Fei said, okay, you two have helped me look after the house. I'll give you 2 squid tentacles, caught in the level 2 fishery. Go home and make soup. By the way, call Li Qing and Li Gan over. Han Fei took out 2 squid tentacles as thick as a thigh and as long as a man out of thin air. The two people were frightened. What kind of amazing skill is this? He can make things out of thin air. Sect master. Han Fei casually threw the 2 squid tentacles to the two of them. I just came back. Don't tell anyone. Yes. Leader, please wait a moment. I'll call them right away. The two of them quickly ran away, their faces filled with excitement. They thought that being assigned to clean Han Fei's old house would be a very boring thing. Who would have thought that they would meet a living leader? As for whether they believed it or not. Of course they believed it. He could make things out of thin air, treasures caught in the level 2 fishery. How could they not believe it? Han Fei entered the house and found that it was very clean, so he couldn't help but be very satisfied. He lay down on his little bed. Although he hadn't lived here for long, it was very familiar. After lying down for less than half an hour, he heard the sound of someone running wildly outside the house. Li Qing and Li Gan arrived. Li Qing whispered outside the door, "Young master." Han Fei said, "Come in." As soon as the two heard the sound, they hurriedly pushed the door and entered. Han Fei sat up from the bed and said, "Have a seat." "Hey, Li Gan has become an intermediate fishing master." Li Gan scratched his head. This. It's all thanks to Leader." Han Fei couldn't stand Li Gan's stutter and was so anxious that he wanted to speak up for him. Han Fei waved his hand and said, "Okay, don't flatter me. Li Qing, how is the fish dragons doing recently? Did they bully the villagers?" Li Qing said solemnly, "Leader, absolutely not. Our fish dragons are now very popular in the Heavenly Water Village, and there is no troublemaker in our gang. Anyone found to be a troublemaker will be kicked out of the gang." Han Fei nodded. "Good, well done. Occasionally give benefits to the gang and help the children who have lost their parents. Deal with these things yourself, but no one is allowed to embezzle from us." "Yes, young master." Han Fei said with a smile, "Don't be so formal. By the way, barbecue stalls and hot pot restaurants can be reduced by 30%. After all, the village is not as rich as the town, and everyone's spending power is limited. Now, your young master is not short of money." Li Gan grinned. Han Fei was very much in line with his ideal leader. Li Qing asked tentatively, "Young master, shall we go back to the gang?" Han Fei shook his head. "Not today. I'll go back to the plantation and visit the village leader by the way." With that, Han Fei got out of bed and walked out of the door. With a wave of his hand, a plate ray and a crayfish appeared, 2 huge sea monsters in the cargo compartment. In addition, there were dozens of squid tentacles and 2 small bottles. This move shocked Li Qing and Li Gan so much that they almost fell to the ground in fright. Han Fei smiled. "Don't be nervous. This is a sea-swallowing seashell, a spatial storage method. Thank you for your hard work during this period. These are some rare food I brought back from the level 2 fishery. It should be very helpful for you to eat them. These squid tentacles can be distributed to those who have worked hard. As for these 2 small bottles, each contains a caddy of spiritual spring, which is worth several months of cultivation. Li Qing, you can take a small amount while you are breaking through to be a fishing master." Li Qing and Li Gan were dumbfounded and kept swallowing their saliva. "This is too shocking, too exciting. What the hell is this? do you take the food from the level 2 fishery as food? And it's rare. Isn't this a reckless waste of God's resources? Han Fei waved his hand. Okay, I won't be back for long. Go do what you need to do. Take these things away. I'll rest here for a while. Don't arrange anyone to come here for the next 2 days. After all, Han Fei was already an intermediate great fishing master. He didn't need to deliberately conceal his aura. Even fishing masters would feel uncomfortable in front of him. Li Qing and Li Gan didn't dare to refuse. They nodded and hurriedly greeted a group of gang members not far away from the door. The fish dragons all greeted Han Fei and then looked at the plate ray and the crayfish dumbfoundedly. How could these things be caught by humans? A group of people carried the crayfish, and a group of people held the plate ray and squid tentacles. They looked back every few steps, trying to remember Han Fei's appearance so that they could brag about it to other gang members in the future. Han Fei put his hands behind his back, stood on the edge of the cliff, smiled slightly, and said to himself, "Tisk, not bad, Han Fei. TSK, not bad, Han Fei. In just a year, you've turned over a new leaf. Well, it's time to synthesize the second spiritual beast. Now that I'm back home, no one can watch me." Cell phone site. Chapter 229. Han Fei ran back to his small cave again. Inside the demon purification pot, 5 exotic creatures were hanging, namely the golden snitch, the human-faced ghost crab, the dragon eel, the soul-attracting jellyfish, and the enormous plate ray. The golden snitch was extremely fast. The human-faced ghost crab could create realistic illusions. The dragon eel was extremely powerful and full of vitality. Its voltage was astonishing. The soul-attracting jellyfish could launch soul attacks. The massive body of the plate ray possessed astonishing suction power. If one were to be sucked into its stomach, it was unlikely that one would be able to escape easily. Each of the 5 exotic creatures could be said to be a contractual spiritual beast that others could only dream of. Now, they were all in the demon purification pot and were about to be absorbed by him. Han Fei hoped that the creature he fused with would be as strong as the dragon eel. After all, so far, except for the powerhouse who killed the blue sea wandering dragon and the little treant in the deep sea jungle, Han Fei had not seen a creature stronger than the dragon eel. The demon purification pot. Demons, golden snitch, human-faced ghost crab, dragon eel, soul-attracting jellyfish, giant plate ray. Consumption, 500,000 points of spiritual energy fusion result, unknown. Do you want to fuse? Han Fei was slightly taken aback. The 9-tailed mantis shrimp cost 10,000 points, but now it cost 50 times more. Han Fei took a deep breath. It made sense. After all, 9 tails was refined from a rare creature. Although it was at the legendary level, it took him half a year to find hundreds of rare creatures for it to refine. At this point, the 9 tails had yet to grow. He wondered what the 5 exotic life forms would fuse into. Fuse. The 5 exotic fays shattered in the blink of an eye and were sucked into a black vortex. Unlike last time, this time, a red light gradually appeared. When the red light disappeared, Han Fei was dumbfounded. A huge body filled the entire cliff cave. Han Fei could only see a big head. Right in front of him was an eagle-like beak, and 2 washbasin-sized eyes were blinking. Behind the eyes, there were layers of gills. That was not all. Han Fei also saw 2 huge wings made of gold and red. He couldn't see anything else. This guy was so big that the entire cliff cave was filled with him. It was impossible to see what the back half of his body looked like. Information appeared in his eyes. Contracted spiritual pets, feather skate. It was an ancient mutated species that belonged to the flying fish clan. It had a pair of wings and legs that were as sharp as blades that could cut through gold and stone. The feather god Ray could fly in the sky and dive into the sea at an incredible speed. Its head was as hard as a mountain, and it was good at ramming. When it matured into its complete form, it could gather the power of heavenly lightning. Hiss, Han Fei was dumbfounded. This is a bit too strong. Was this a bird or a fish? It even had wings and feet. If he possessed this body, wouldn't he be able to fly? More importantly, with such a big head, you're telling me it's a child. Yeah. The feather god Ray leaned its big head over and seemed very happy. It squeaked and wanted to rub its head against Han Fei. Han Fei quickly grabbed its beak, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Its head was too big for him to hold. Can you become smaller? The feather god Ray tilted his head and looked at Han Fei as if he didn't understand. Han Fei thought for a moment and asked, can you become smaller? The feather god Ray seemed to understand this time. Its huge body suddenly began to shrink, shrinking to more than 2 meters long. Only then did Han Fei see the full appearance of this guy. It was gold and red all over, with webbed claws and a scarlet dorsal fin on its back, which was red and shiny like a ruby. Han Fei said, smaller, smaller. The feather god Ray shrank again, this time to more than 1 meter long, but when it spread its wings, it immediately became more than 3 meters wide. It flapped its wings and pounced on Han Fei. Han Fei quickly pushed its head away and mumbled, are you hungry? You must be hungry. You just came out and didn't eat. So Han Fei took out a squid tentacle more than 2 meters long and threw it to the feather god Ray. The feather god Ray opened its mouth and swallowed half of it. Then it raised its head and swallowed the tentacle as thick as a thigh. After eating it, the feather god Ray blinked and tilted its head at Han Fei. Han Fei asked, you want more? Yes, yes, I have plenty of squid tentacles. Han Fei threw nearly 20 squid tentacles in a row and finally fed the feather god Ray. Han Fei looked up and down at this guy, pulling its wings from time to time and tapping the golden bones on the edge of its wings with the back of a knife. With just a light touch, the sound of metal and stone colliding was heard. Han Fei asked, you are an ancient mutant anyway. I should give you a name. What should I call you? Little Red? No, no, that's Li Gang's wife. You can't call her that. Little Feather? No, it sounds like a girl's name. Little Gold? Han Fei muttered and finally shook his head. Forget it. I'll call you Little Gold. Han Fei was very satisfied that Little Gold didn't have the bad habit of hitting the floor like the nine-tailed mantis shrimp. For now, Little Gold was very obedient. Except for its big appetite, it seemed to have no shortcomings. Han Fei thought of something and shouted in a low voice, attach. In an instant, Little Gold turned into a golden red stream of light and attached to Han Fei. Han Fei felt that his strength had increased greatly, and he could clearly feel that his head was a little hard. He subconsciously slapped his forehead, which resulted in a dang sound. Oh, fuck. Have I become an ironhead fish? Before Han Fei could be surprised, he felt a tingling on his back, and a pair of golden red wings really appeared, and they were not illusory at all but real. Han Fei was so excited that he jumped up. But he didn't realize that Little Gold was best at speed. With such a jump, his head hit the rock wall on the top of the cave with a thud. Thud. Han Fei landed and rubbed his head. No, this cave was too small. He climbed directly to the cliff and looked around. Seeing that there was no one, he spread his wings and tried to fly. Feeling that his feet were off the ground, Han Fei couldn't suppress the excitement in his heart. So, he could fly just like that. Fuck. It's so cool. Han Fei flew to the edge of the cliff. He flew off the cliff and flew very slowly. He tried to flap his wings quickly, but as soon as the speed increased, the stability became worse. Han Fei tilted to one side and fell directly down the cliff. Fuck. Han Fei quickly adjusted his posture and then carefully grabbed the cliff of the floating island. Phew. Cool. Flying turns out to be such a cool experience. Han Fei let go of the floating stone on the cliff and tried to fly again. After experimenting for a full hour, he flew around the area with a radius of 30 or 40 kilometers. He flew horizontally, up, down, up and down, flying up and down, and he couldn't close his mouth. Han Fei felt it, felt nature, and observed the state of flying from countless angles in the air. Even during the flight, when he closed his eyes to feel all this, a lot of feelings emerged in an instant, and he subconsciously wanted to shout. More than an hour later, it was almost evening, and Han Fei finally flew back to his hut stealthily. Deactivate. Little gold flashed red and disappeared into Han Fei's body. Han Fei grinned. Although his hair was messy, it felt great. Others could only fly when they were hanging fishers or hidden fishers. He was only a great fishing master, but he could already fly. He just didn't know how big the gap was between the speed of little gold and the snow-white wings behind a hidden fisher. However, Han Fei calmed down immediately. Little gold was very strong, there was no doubt about this. But the problem was that the nine-tailed mantis shrimp could be said to be a mutant mantis shrimp. Then, if little gold was seen by others, what should he say? No one would believe it if he said it was an exotic creature. And among the legendary creatures, if this thing were to be found out, who knew how many people would covet it? Forget it, I can't expose little gold for the time being. Cell phone website. Chapter 230. Heavenly Water Village Plantation. Old Jiang was fiddling with his vinegar tank. There was a large plate of little white shrimps on the table at this moment, and the aroma of wine filled the air. Slurp. Pooey. Old Jiang took a bite and felt that it tasted good enough. Carrying the wine jar, he walked to the table and was about to start drinking. I'm back. Far away, before old Jiang stuffed a little white shrimp into his mouth, he heard Han Fei's voice from a long distance away. This stinking brat really knows how to pick the right time. Han Fei trotted into the plantation and saw that old Jiang was picking up a shrimp with his chopsticks. He was lost for words. Grandpa, why are you still eating drunken shrimp? Old Jiang glanced at Han Fei, stuffed the little white shrimp into his mouth with chopsticks, spat out the shrimp shell, and said, Yo, who is this? You actually came back alive. Han Fei, what do you mean? What did he mean by coming back alive? So when I went, you thought I would die, didn't you? Han Fei chuckled. Grandpa, go ahead. Come on, eat your fill now. I'll make 2 dishes for Sister Qin later. You can have the drunken prawns. Old Jiang immediately put his chopsticks on the table when he heard that there were more dishes. Do you think I should eat just because you asked me to? But I refuse to eat. But you brat, have you been harming the plantation in the 4th Academy every day? I knew that the fish dragons must be up to no good in the Blue Sea Town. Han Fei moved a stool and sat opposite old Jiang. Hey, Grandpa, you are very familiar with Old Bai, aren't you? Were you from the Thug Academy before? Old Jiang snorted. None of your business. I am a farmer. Han Fei said disdainfully, are you kidding me? Old Bai is obviously very familiar with you. How strong are you? Does he have the strength of a hidden fisher? Or even more? Old Jiang asked, are you crazy? If I had that kind of strength, why would I come to this broken place? Hurry up and go cook. Han Fei blinked and chuckled. He didn't believe it. This old man was really good at pretending. Let's see how long he could keep up the act. However, it was good to retire in the Heavenly Water Village. Old Bai retired in the Blue Sea Town, and old Jiang retired in the Heavenly Water Village. There was no difference. Han Fei fished out a bag of flour from his sea-swallowing seashell, which made old Jiang's eyelids twitch, a little surprised by Han Fei. How did this kid improve so quickly? When he left, he barely became a great fishing master, but now he was at the peak of the intermediate level. More importantly, this kid even got a sea-swallowing seashell. After that, the old man moved closer. What is this white thing? Flour. I brought you some seeds. I've tried it before. It grows fast, and it ripens in half a month after watering it with spiritual energy. Old Jiang asked, this thing is delicious. Let me try it. After that, old Jiang grabbed a handful of flour, licked it, and frowned. Pooh! What the hell is this? There's no taste at all. How is it delicious? Han Fei was lost for words. Why are you panicking? What kind of person eats flour? You just watch from the side. I'll show you once. If I'm not here, you can make it yourself. Don't blame me if you can't learn it. In the evening. The night wind was cool, and the sky was full of stars. When Jiang Qin returned home from work, she saw an old man and a young man sitting around the table, murmuring something. Old Jiang craned his neck. How did you knead it? Han Fei raised the dumpling in his hand. Just like this, I gently knead it with 2 fingers and it's done. Old Jiang wondered, can I eat it just by kneading it? I can eat it in 1 bite, right? Han Fei nodded. You can eat 1 in 2 bites. Han Fei. Hearing Jiang Qin's voice, Han Fei turned around and said with a smile, Sister Qin, you're back. Jiang Qin said lightly, when did you come back? I just came back. Now that I'm back, I'll let you try my new cooking. Ha! Are you already at the peak of the intermediate level? Han Fei grinned. Yes. When I left, I was already a great fishing master, wasn't I? The Thug Academy is full of monsters, and one of them is already an advanced great fishing master. Jiang Qin asked, how many days? Han Fei replied, half a month. I'm afraid nothing good will happen after half a month. Jiang Qin nodded and looked at the dumplings on the table. New dishes. Han Fei clapped his hands. Hey, Sister Qin, I'll let you taste them. The dumplings are in the pot. After half an hour, there was a large plate in front of each of the 3 people on the table, with a bowl of dumplings in the middle. Jiang Qin smiled. Can you finish it? Han Fei pushed the vinegar plate in front of the 2 of them. Have a taste. Jiang Qin picked up a hot dumpling, dipped it in vinegar, and took a small bite. When the shrimp juice flowed out, Jiang Qin's eyes lit up. The old man had already eaten a dumpling, and his stern face relaxed. He picked up the dumpling and looked left and right. I didn't know. How can that white thing taste so good when it's cooked? Han Fei smiled. That's because no one has ever studied this. The 3 of them didn't finish the dumplings until their stomachs were round. After dinner, after chatting for a while, Han Fei was called to the training ground in the plantation by Jiang Qin. Han Fei scratched his head. Sister Qin, I just came back. Let's not fight. Jiang Qin looked indifferent. Is this what the 4th Academy teaches you? You don't even want to fight? Han Fei said faintly, let's fight. I'm about to throw up from the beating. I finally came back to have a rest. Jiang Qin snorted, raised her hand, and punched. Her spiritual energy was like a dragon, directly shooting into the void. Han Fei was slightly stunned. Although the attack was gorgeous, he didn't panic at all. He had learned a lot from the level 2 fishery, so he wouldn't be scared. Han Fei also wrapped his fist in spiritual energy and punched out, smashing the punch. Then the 2 of them began to use their weapons. The corners of Jiang Qin's mouth turned up. Now that Han Fei had become an intermediate fishing master, she could use her strength a little more. She stomped her feet, spiritual energy gushed out of her arms, and in the blink of an eye, she punched out 100 times. At the same time, she leaned forward and rushed at Han Fei like a cannonball. Million Knife Art, 7-star chain. Han Fei waved his hand and 10 blue sea wandering dragon daggers burst out in an instant, spinning in the air into a knife shadow top, colliding with the fist shadow. At the same time, he instantly attached himself to Jiang Qin, and the 7 chains behind him shot out from different angles, binding Jiang Qin. Boom, boom, boom. Old Jiang wasn't interested in watching the 2 of them fight. But before he sat down, a violent roar broke out from the depths of the plantation. Dust was flying and spiritual plants were flying everywhere. When old Jiang came here, he saw Han Fei controlling the knives in the air, holding them with both hands, and his body was as flexible as a monkey. The ground was already full of potholes, and the 100-meter training ground had completely turned into ruins. At this moment, Jiang Qin was leaping in the air, and Han Fei's double knives were spinning in the air, but they were knocked away by Jiang Qin every time. When they returned to Han Fei's hands, they cut through the void again, filling the sky with shadows. Stop! Is this a place for you to fight? Don't make trouble for me as soon as you come back. Plow the land and pull up the weeds for me tomorrow. Han Fei's body flashed, and he jumped to an open space, saying helplessly, Grandpa, I didn't want to fight you. Sister Qin forced me to do this. Old Jiang said angrily, I don't care. If I don't punish you, my granddaughter. Han Fei. Jiang Qin also stopped at this moment, looked at Han Fei for a while, and said, Why do I find that your moves are more and more like sneak attacks? You've turned a soul warrior's move into a hunter's. Han Fei blinked his eyes. Really? I don't think so. Jiang Qin asked, Where did this knife come from? A low-quality spiritual weapon? No, the material is spiritual, but it can't exert its power, so it's at most an ultra-quality magic weapon. Han Fei smacked his lips. I got it from a treasure hunt in the level 2 fishery. I haven't sealed any creatures in it yet. Sister Qin, do you know how to seal spirits? No, Jiang Qin said lightly. Your body has become a lot stronger, and your spiritual power seems to have soared, but your fighting style is not good. You need to practice rod techniques more. Han Fei asked, Do I need to? Jiang Qin didn't look back. You are a soul warrior. Han Fei shouted, But I'm also a spirit gatherer. Besides, soul warriors could also use sabers. Why do you use a rod? It looks so low class. Jiang Qin stopped and sneered. Brute force is the best. Although your knife techniques are good, you can't control spiritual weapons yet. Wait until you can control them. Before leaving, Jiang Qin said, Tomorrow, go and see if there are any seedlings who can enter the 4th Academy. Cell phone site. Chapter 231. Han Fei vaguely guessed that Jiang Qin must have graduated from the Thug Academy, which was why she missed the Thug Academy so much. Old Jiang was probably from the Thug Academy as well. The next day, the awakening began. Han Fei had heard that the casualty rate of this fishing trial was 50% lower than last year's. It was because Han Fei won the resource competition that the casualty rate was so low. But the first place only got a little more than 4,000 points. Han Fei guessed that maybe the top few could be considered. Heavenly Water Village, Spirit Awakening Pool. When Han Fei arrived, he sneaked into the crowd. The top 10 students had entered the pool and were awakening their spiritual beasts. After a while, there was a sudden movement at the bottom of the pool. The village leader shouted excitedly, Zhang Ming, awakened the swift squid spiritual beast. Han Fei didn't care. The so-called swift squid was a rare squid in the level 1 fishery. He used to think it was good, but now he didn't feel anything at all. Chen Yi awakened the big meat turtle, Zhang Kong awakened the tentacle lobster, until the last person, a lot of plants suddenly grew in the pool. Han Fei's eyes lit up. Spirit entangling grass. The village leader also said excitedly, Suya, awakened the spirit entangling grass, an alien, a real alien. The village leader stood under the statue and boasted, and Han Fei just nodded slightly. Since she had awakened the spirit entangling grass, her future development path had basically been determined. Was there any other choice except for manipulators? After Suya came out of the pool, she raised her hand and waved to the audience, but there was no smile on her face. Han Fei just observed secretly, thinking, I'll find a chance to ask the village leader what Suya's talent is. What's her combat power? What's her personality? After all, there were many manipulators in this world, but only Luo Xiaobai could enter the Thug Academy. Was Luo Xiaobai strong? Of course, there was no doubt about it. In the level 2 fishery, Luo Xiaobai contributed a lot. Although her combat power was not as good as the other 4, she was not much weaker. Besides, she could control, fight, defend, and avoid danger. In general, she was quite strong. Among the last batch of 100 people, there was an exotic armored turtle, just like Wang Baiyu. However, in Han Fei's opinion, it was too low. In the eyes of others, it was an anomaly, but in his eyes, it was just a rare spiritual beast, not outstanding. Next, almost 3,000 people entered the pool at the same time. Because there was an unusually abundant supply of spirit awakening fluid this year, the village leader was also confident. But when he saw ordinary spiritual beasts appear one after another, he was almost numb to them. Occasionally, he would awaken a swordfish and feel that it was awesome. Finally, among these people, there was an exception. It was a young man who had awakened a mutated arachnidocrab. In addition, almost half of them were spiritual beasts from ordinary fisheries. Han Fei was just a bystander. No matter how the people around him shouted, he kept his head down and didn't make a sound. When the innate spiritual awakening was about to end, he quietly left and ran to the village head's house. Lying down on a chair in the yard, he casually took out 2 big strawberries and ate them. About an hour later, the village chief returned home with 3 youths in tow. The village leader said, "Suya, only 1 in 1,000 spiritual plants can be awakened. You can't waste your talent in vain. This time, I'll apply for a place in the first academy for you. Yang Qi, your exotic arachnidocrab is very rare and even above the spirit entangling grass in terms of grade. You are the only one who stands out among 1,000 people. Although your spiritual heritage is not obvious, I can get you to study in the second academy." As for Zhaoan, Wang Baiyu awakened an armored turtle last year and now he is doing well in the first academy. I'll try to get you there so that we can take care of each other. As the village leader was talking, he suddenly stopped and saw a person lying on his favorite recliner, nibbling on a strawberry while looking at him. "Wow, you're back." Han Fei lazily got up from the recliner and said with a smile, "Grandpa leader, long time no see." The village leader's face changed many times. He had heard of Han Fei's deeds, but he didn't even dare to think about it. At that time, the 4th academy, which he thought was the worst, had 5 peerless geniuses. Now, who doesn't know about this? Who doesn't know about it? He won 100 consecutive victories in the Blue Sea Arena, defeated the top 100 students of the 3 academies in the Blue Sea Town, and defeated an advanced great fishing master. Every one of them had deeply shocked him. So, when he saw Han Fei, the village leader's face suddenly changed. This boy, a mid-quality spiritual heritage, how could a middle-grade spirit vein grow to such an extent? A few months ago, he had been to the Blue Sea Town and the 4th Academy to find Han Fei. However, the old man from the 4th Academy said that Han Fei had gone to the level 2 fishery to gain experience. At that time, the village leader was shocked. He went to the level 2 fishery to gain experience. How long had it been since Han Fei went to the 4th Academy? The teachers of the other 3 academies took their students to gain experience in the level 1 fishery, but he went to the level 2 fishery, next to the village leader, Suya, and the other 2 looked at Han Fei curiously. Zhaoan suddenly said, "Are you the champion of last year's fishing trial, Han Fei?" Han Fei smiled and said, "Yes." "Are you surprised? Are you surprised?" The other 2 didn't speak, but they were slightly curious about last year's champion. The village leader was a little surprised and asked, "When did you come back? Did you go to see the awakened spiritual beasts today?" Han Fei nodded lazily and handed a strawberry to the village leader. "I watched them for a while. Are the 3 most talented this time?" The village leader seemed to think of something. "Is Han Fei here to look for talents?" This was definitely a shocking piece of news. The 4th Academy had just debuted and almost swept the other 3 academies. This strength must not be underestimated. The village leader quickly said, "Yes, the spiritual beasts of the 3 of them are the best this year." Although not as frequent as last year, they are still rare. Look at Suya, she awakened the spirit entangling grass. Zhaoan awakened the armored turtle. Yang Qi awakened the mutant spider crab. Zhaoan didn't seem to have a good impression of Han Fei and couldn't help saying, "Grandpa leader, why are you telling him this?" The village leader glared at him and then turned to look at Han Fei. "Do you think any of them can enter the 4th Academy?" "The 4th Academy?" The three teenagers were stunned. Did Han Fei come here to poach them to the 4th Academy? Zhaoan was the first to respond. "Grandpa leader, I want to go to the 1st Academy." The other two still didn't speak, but they seemed a little disgusted. "We can go to a better school." "Why do we want to go to the 4th Academy? What's so good about the 4th Academy?" The village leader shouted in a low voice, "Shut up." Han Fei smiled and ignored Zhaoan, but asked lazily, "Grandpa leader, I just came here to have a look. What level are their spiritual heritages?" The village leader immediately pointed to Suya and said, "Suya is level 4, low quality, no worse than Xia Wushuang. Zhaoan is level 3, high quality. Although Yang Qi's spiritual heritage is a bit low, he is also level 2, high quality." Han Fei nodded slightly. "What about their strength?" "Suya is level 8, and Zhaoan and Yang Qi are both level 7 fishers." Han Fei was a little surprised. Level 2, high quality, and a level 7 fisher. Not bad. He should have had some fortuitous encounters. Han Fei asked, "Grandpa leader, do you mind if I test them?" The village chief instantly grinned and said, "Test, do whatever you want." The village leader raised his eyelids. He didn't dislike the 4th Academy for a long time. Besides, he had heard from He Xiaoyu that Han Fei was already a great fishing master. Now Han Fei was standing in front of him and he could feel Han Fei's vigorous qi and blood. He was afraid that Han Fei was not as simple as a junior great fishing master but at least an intermediate one. Were the other 3 academies as fast as him? Suya frowned. "Test?" Zhaoan took a step back. "No, I want to go to the 1st Academy." As for Yang Qi, he couldn't go to the 1st Academy, so it didn't matter. Han Fei smiled faintly. "Okay, Zhaoan, right? You don't have to take the test, but don't affect my assessment of the other 2. The village chief sighed lightly. Why does this Zhaoan not have any eyesight? If the 4th Academy was ordinary, why would I allow Han Fei to assess you? Cell phone website. Chapter 232. Han Fei's assessment was very simple, so simple that the village leader was surprised. "I'll suppress my realm to that of a level 8 fisher. Just attack me with your full strength." Suya was stunned. In terms of age, Han Fei was only 1 year older than them. "You're talking so arrogantly, and you're even suppressing your cultivation?" The 3 of them couldn't help but feel a little competitive. "You're number 1, so how are we any worse than you?" The village chief frowned. "Isn't it too high? You've already learned combat skills. Why don't you go with the 7th level?" Han Fei didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Village leader, you're too protective of your son." Okay. You said it's level 7, so it's level 7. A moment later, Suya took the initiative to attack. Suppressing himself to fight a level 7 fisher. Had he been defeated before? Then Suya raised her rod and smashed it at Han Fei with her most powerful spiritual energy explosion. But to her surprise, Han Fei just slightly leaned to one side, stretched out a hand, and slapped Suya's stick to the ground with spiritual energy surging in his hand. This scene caused Zhaoan and Yang Qi to be dumbstruck. This guy is so powerful. He was only a level 7 fisher, but he still dared to fight the rod with his bare hands. Han Fei smiled. "Hey, little girl, don't use up your spiritual energy too early." At that moment, Suya narrowed her eyes and stabbed with her staff. Han Fei tilted his body slightly and easily dodged it. Suya tried her best, but she couldn't even touch Han Fei's clothes. The rod in his hand was easily snatched away by Han Fei and thrown aside casually. Fuse. The spirit-entangled grasses merged, and a large area of spirit-entangled grasses surrounded Han Fei. Han Fei shook his head and said, "You've just awakened and don't know how to use the spirit entanglement grass yet. It's useless for me." Han Fei drew out a knife and with a casual slash, a large number of spirit-entangled grasses were broken. In the end, Suya sat on the ground with a face full of sweat and a face full of disbelief. The village leader sighed slightly. After all, he had become a great fishing master. Han Fei had seen much more scenes than Suya. Even if his realm was suppressed to level 7, he was still too powerful. Then he hooked his finger at Yang Qi. Yang Qi understood and immediately charged forward. He didn't consider whether to fuse with a spiritual beast or not. Suya had already tried it and it didn't work at all. He might as well use all of his spiritual energy to have a good fight. Yang Qi fought fiercely and quite fiercely. Many times, he tried to fight Han Fei to the death, but Han Fei easily dodged his attacks. After a while, Yang Qi also sat on the ground, his spiritual energy empty. Village chief hurriedly said, "How is it? Can you do it?" Han Fei pointed casually, and 2 pillars of spiritual energy poured into the bodies of Suya and Yang Qi. Under the shocked gazes of the others, he shook his head slightly and said, "Unqualified." Village chief's eyes dimmed and he sighed, "Forget it, if you don't qualify, then so be it. Just take it that you gave them some pointers." However, Han Fei said, "Next month is the enrollment season. By then, they could go to the 4th Academy for the assessment again after familiarizing themselves with their spiritual beasts and spiritual plants. Of course, it wouldn't do if the situation remained the same. Also, Yang Qi, his fighting style is ferocious. I don't recommend Grandpa Village Chief to send him to the 3 big academies. If he can quickly become a fishing master and gain experience in the level 1 fishery for a year, maybe he can try the assessment of the 4th Academy next year." The village leader's eyes lit up. "Really?" Han Fei nodded. "Why would I lie to you? But even so, I personally think the probability of him passing the assessment is only 20% or 30% at most. It's up to you." Suya and Yang Qi were all stunned. What the hell? Is the 4th Academy so arrogant? How could he directly deny them? They are the heavenly talents of the Heavenly Water Village this year. Han Fei was pulled to the side by the village leader. "Han Fei, tell me honestly, how good is the 4th Academy?" Han Fei shrugged. "It's definitely better than the 3 big academies. Back then, the 4th Academy once swept the 36 towns and defeated all the heavenly talents of the 1,000-star city. What do you think?" "Wow." The village leader took a breath. "Sweeping the 36 towns and defeated the 1,000-star city? Is it so exaggerated?" Han Fei smiled. "Grandpa Village Chief, I'm leaving. I'm just here to have a look. Take the suitable ones with you. If not, just forget it." Han Fei was about to leave. The village leader hurriedly shouted, "Wait, what kind of senior are you? Don't you give your junior brothers and sisters a gift? The most powerful one among them is only a level 8 fisher. How can they pass your assessment next month?" Han Fei was speechless. "You're still so protective of your juniors." Han Fei looked back. "Okay, I'll listen to you." Then Han Fei waved his hand and 2 plate rays 5 or 6 meters long were thrown to the ground. Han Fei smiled. "Here, plate rays caught in the level 2 fishery, rare creatures close to level 30. They should be enough for them to become fishing masters." The village leader was stunned. What did Han Fei just do? He made things out of thin air. Is it a sea-swallowing seashell? At that time, the village leader gasped. What on earth did Han Fei experience in the 4th Academy? He even has a sea-swallowing seashell. Huh? Wait. Suddenly, the village leader's face changed drastically. Rare creatures close to level 30. How the hell did you catch them for food? The village leader shouted at Han Fei, who was slipping away. You wastrel. Han Fei left, leaving behind the angry village leader and the three dumbfounded teenagers. It took Suya a long time to come back to herself and asked, Grandpa Leader, Senior Han Fei. The village leader sighed. The fourth academy is not what you think. It is an elite school. So far, only 5 people have joined this academy. However, these 5 people have suppressed the heavenly talents of the 3 academies. And Han Fei is now one of these 5 people. You can imagine it yourself. Suya and the other 2 were shocked. Village leader, are you kidding us? 5 people suppressed the heavenly talents of the 3 academies. Gulp. Yang Qi asked hesitantly, Village leader, what is Senior Han Fei's realm now? The village leader didn't hide it. He is at least an intermediate great fishing master. But to suppress the heavenly talents of the 3 academies, I'm afraid his real strength has already reached the level of an advanced great fishing master or even a peak-level great fishing master. Wow! The 3 teenagers felt as if thunder had exploded in their minds. A peak-level great fishing master. He was only 13 years old. He was only 1 year older than them. They were still fishers, but Han Fei already had the combat power of a peak-level great fishing master. What a dreadful thing this was. Zhaoan was a little regretful at this moment. Why hadn't he heard of the 4th academy? He thought the Blue Sea Academy was ranked first, so it must be the first. But the 4th academy was way too powerful. The village leader looked at Zhaoan and said, It's not easy to get in. Didn't you see that he didn't like any of them? Go to the 1st academy. Maybe there will be a chance for you. Then the village leader looked at Suya and Yang Qi. These 2 fish. You can't finish them in half a month. You can give some to Zhaoan. Of course, it's up to you. At this moment, he could only be thick-skinned. Since Han Fei didn't give them to Zhaoan, it meant that he didn't want to. But no matter whether Zhaoan was good or bad, as the village leader, he had to consider the children, so he could only say this. Suya and Yang Qi didn't speak, but in their hearts, they thought, why should I give it to him? I won't give it to him. Suddenly, Yang Qi got up and said, Village leader, I want to stay in the village. The village leader was taken aback, and after a while, he nodded slightly. Okay, although your spiritual beast is very strong, it's not very talented. At the beginning, Han Fei also stayed in the village and couldn't be driven away. Thinking of this scene, the village leader suddenly smiled. Wasn't it like this? This little guy wiped out the tigers, started the fish dragons, and didn't forget to farm. Now thinking about it, how long had he been in the town? Less than half a year had passed. His growth speed was really terrifying. But Zhaoan stared at the 2 plate rays on the ground, his eyes red and jealous. If he had kept silent just now, would he have one now? Han Fei left. He didn't want to open the back door for them. Even if he opened the back door and brought his juniors to the Thug Academy. According to Luo Xiaobai's cold personality, she would have killed them first. Forget it, I just gave them 2 fish. It shouldn't be considered opening the back door, right? Plantation. It took Han Fei a whole day to get rid of the weeds and plant the wheat. At this moment, Han Fei also made a recliner, lying on it and eating strawberries. Grandpa, you take care of the wheat yourself. When it's ripe, take out the seeds and pat them into flour. You can make your own dumplings in the future. Old Jiang snorted. My granddaughter will make them. Han Fei rolled his eyes. Look at how lazy you are. When Jiang Qin came back, the food was ready. Jiang Qin asked, how is it? Is there anyone suitable? Han Fei shook his head. No. Jiang Qin grunted and didn't care. She knew the Thug Academy too well. If everyone could go there, it would be too cheap. Jiang Qin changed the topic and said, go out with me tomorrow. At the same time. Chapter 233. When he went out with Jiang Qin, old Jiang lay on the recliner, glanced at Han Fei, and didn't say much. However, Han Fei felt that something was wrong. Han Fei wondered, Sister Qin, where are we going? Jiang Qin said calmly, a few days ago, someone was fishing in an ordinary fishery and accidentally caught a particularly large green turtle in the sea. This is a very normal thing. However, the stone that the green turtle was wearing had broken array carvings on it. I went to investigate and found that the creatures in that place were relatively large, and I also caught many green turtles with broken arrays on them. The first thing that came to Han Fei's mind was the boat-burying pit. The fish in the boat-burying pit were relatively large, but that was because there was a spiritual spring there before, but now it was gone. Han Fei asked in surprise, Sister Qin, then what else did you find? Jiang Qin said, I found a seal. Han Fei gasped. Was it the stone tablet left by Ren Tianfen? Han Fei asked carefully, what seal? You'll know when you get there. I tried, but I couldn't get in. Maybe I'm too strong. If I break the seal by force, I will directly destroy that small secret realm. Han Fei blinked. Can I get in? Jiang Qin shook her head slightly. I don't know. I think so. Han Fei was surprised. Do you have a clue about the person you're looking for? Will he be in that seal? Jiang Qin shook her head slightly. No, this seal is a bit weak. He won't be trapped here. Han Fei blinked. She was right. If it was the boat-burying pit, Ren Tianfen was determined to overturn the Thousand-Star City alone. If it was the boat-burying pit, the seal would not be weak. Han Fei asked, then why are we still looking for him? Jiang Qin sighed slightly. It's impossible to trap him in this place, but there may be some clues. There must be a reason why he appeared in the Heavenly Water Village. Now we're going to find this reason. Han Fei rolled his eyes. Hey! Sister Qin, who the hell is he? Are you his boyfriend? Smack! Jiang Qin rolled her eyes at Han Fei. You have too many questions. Hey, Sister Qin, wait a minute. What if there is a creature inside that can kill a great fishing master? Jiang Qin shook her head. I caught a level 40 creature and found that I couldn't throw it in. Then, I caught a level 36 bone fish and threw it in. This means that this seal allows people below dangling fishers to enter. Han Fei was amused. But I'm only an intermediate great fishing master. Jiang Qin looked at Han Fei seriously. I know you've been to many dangerous places in the level 2 fishery. This place can't be more terrible than those places. Trust me. How did you know? Jiang Qin blinked at Han Fei. Han Fei was lost for words. Forget it, I won't ask anymore. She was sad. There were no more secrets. She made it seem like she knew everything. Even though he worked at the departure port every day, he was still well informed about all kinds of news. However, Han Fei was not going to fight a battle that he was not confident of winning. If it was really a boat-burying pit, he could go in, break through to an advanced great fishing master, and then say that there was a little spiritual spring in it. If it weren't for the boat-burying pit, the first thing he would do after entering was to become an advanced great fishing master, so as to ensure his invincibility. Having figured this out, Han Fei wasn't afraid anymore. I still have means to save my life. If I can't, I can use Forge the Universe first. The fishing boat went out to sea. Seeing that it was not the direction of the boat-burying pit, Han Fei was slightly relieved. But as the fishing boat sailed further, Han Fei felt something was wrong. Why does this place feel a bit familiar? Suddenly, Han Fei remembered. Isn't this the place to the spirit-absorbing jellyfish area? Before the tigers were destroyed, Li Ju obtained the tiger-headed fish from the spirit-absorbing jellyfish area. At that time, Han Fei felt that rare spiritual fish were already very awesome. Since the tiger-headed fish had been taken away by Li Ju, why should he go there? But now, he came back. Yes, it's just a rare spiritual fish. There are many in the level 1 fishery and many in the level 2 fishery. Why do I think the tiger-headed fish is a treasure in ordinary fisheries? Jiang Qin looked at Han Fei and asked, "Huh? Do you know this place?" Han Fei nodded. The spirit-absorbing jellyfish area. Did Li Ju get the tiger-headed fish here? Jiang Qin nodded. Yes. It's not normal for rare spiritual fish to appear in ordinary fisheries. I think Li Ju just thought he was lucky. However, even if he found that forbidden area, he couldn't get out with his fishing master level ability. Han Fei nodded. According to Jiang Qin, it was true. At that time, he was just a fisherman. Even if he found that place, he wouldn't be able to get out. Here it is. Let's go into the water. After the fishing boat stopped, Jiang Qin said to Han Fei and then jumped into the water. Han Fei followed. The two of them were like two big fish, quickly shuttling among the jellyfish. Even if some jellyfish tried to stick to them, they were all shattered by Jiang Qin's spiritual energy. The two moved very fast and reached the bottom of the sea in just a few seconds. The bottom of the sea looked very ordinary. There were some bare rocks and not many corals. There were only some dead white coral clumps. On the bottom of the sea, a group of Oncomelania snails jumped over, and some jumped over to stab Han Fei and Jiang Qin. However, Jiang Qin waved her hand and a wave directly sent them flying. Han Fei looked around. Sister Qin, where are we? Jiang Qin slowly swam to the side. A few minutes later, the two of them appeared in a huge place covered with seaweed. Under the seaweed, rocks were shattered. Among the rocks, sea green vines occasionally grew out from under the rocks. Jiang Qin said via voice transmission, sea green vines, a common underwater spiritual plant in ordinary fisheries. They are not precious. Jiang Qin pushed aside a green vine leaf, and the sea green vines next to it rushed towards her frantically, trying to entangle her. However, as soon as Jiang Qin stomped her foot, the waves rolled and these sea green vines shrank into a ball. Han Fei followed her closely. After walking for about 200 meters, Han Fei saw an open space with a diameter of more than 5 meters, which seemed to have been cleaned by someone. It must be Jiang Qin's doing. Han Fei wondered, Sister Qin, there's nothing here. It's just an open space. Jiang Qin didn't speak and casually caught a green turtle with her fishing rod. Then she threw it into the open space. Han Fei was shocked to find that the fish was gone. Jiang Qin said, that's why this place has never been found. It's too ordinary and inconspicuous. If I hadn't found some traces of a broken array in the rocks, I wouldn't have found this place. Han Fei took a deep breath. So, I'm going to jump in from here. Jiang Qin nodded. Han Fei's blood froze and he panicked. As a veteran gold digger, he liked to take risks, but the risks had to be worth it. This place was bare, leaving only a broken hole, and all the fish thrown in couldn't return. Damn, I'm afraid this is not a good deal. Looking at the empty seabed mud layer in front of him, this was definitely an illusion. In essence, it was a hole. Who knew where this hole led to? Han Fei was thinking. Jiang Qin's experiment showed that, in theory, it only allowed people below the level of dangling fishers to enter, so the strength wouldn't be too high. But after all, this place was probably related to Jiang Qin's secret, so it couldn't be just a small secret, so he'd better play it safe. Han Fei said calmly via voice transmission, Sister Qin, I'm going down. Jiang Qin said, be careful. Without saying a word, Han Fei jumped on the illusory mud. Immediately, his whole body fell down. It was dark below. Han Fei counted silently, 1, 2, 3. As soon as he counted 3 times, Han Fei appeared in Forge the Universe. The aura of this passage was a bit weird. Han Fei made a prompt decision. I'd better make a breakthrough before continuing to go down. Han Fei originally planned to make a breakthrough when he went to the Blue Sea Town, but now he had to. With a thought in his mind, the space in forged the universe changed, a gully appeared on the ground, and the spiritual spring poured into the gully, while he sat on the ground and ran the void fishing art. Billowing spiritual energy surged from the gully, and the meridians in Han Fei's body were surging. 1 hour later. Kacha! With a slight cracking sound, the barrier of an advanced great fishing master was broken. At this moment, spiritual energy rushed into his body faster and faster. After a while, Han Fei's strength kept rising. More than 3 hours later, Han Fei finally reached the peak level of an advanced great fishing master. Han Fei got up, exercised his muscles, and felt that his body was full of strength. From the intermediate level to the advanced level, his overall strength had increased by nearly 20%. Mobile phone station. Chapter 234. Han Fei was not in a hurry to go out. He didn't mind Jiang Qin waiting outside for a few more days. For the sake of his life, Han Fei immediately began to practice the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies. A few days later, perhaps because Han Fei had been practicing this technique for a long time, he suddenly felt that the acupoints all over his body suddenly tightened. These acupoints seemed to have been prearranged, and the power flowing in them suddenly increased a little. Although it was not much, it was still nearly 5% increase. At this moment, Han Fei also faintly felt that there was a trace of spiritual energy in the gully, gradually entering his body through his skin. This had never happened before. Wow! Have I made it? Han Fei couldn't help taking a breath. Since he began to practice the incomplete monograph on 108 ways of body polishing, he regarded this technique as a tool to strengthen his physique. Although he later deduced the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies, he still didn't make it. At least his body couldn't absorb free spiritual energy. But at this time, he succeeded. It was very unexpected, or rather, it was a matter of course. He looked at the data. Owner Han Fei, level greater than 29, advanced great fishing master, spiritual energy greater than 122,561, 2799, spiritual heritage, level 4, high quality spiritual beast, twin yin-yang spirit swallowing fish weapon, a blue sea wandering dragon daggers, main art, water vein technique, volume 3 of void fishing. Han Fei couldn't help blinking his eyes. The upper limit of spiritual energy this time was a bit too much. Was the upper limit of spiritual energy about to break through 2,800? He was afraid that the last 1 point would be the bottleneck. At this point, Han Fei found that his upper limit of spiritual energy was almost twice that of others. What did this mean? It meant that his body's endurance was twice that of others, and it also meant that his meridian's toughness, breadth, and physique were twice that of ordinary advanced great fishing masters. At this moment, Han Fei felt that he was in his peak state. He saw the stick inserted into the ground in Forge the Universe. This stick was pulled out from the back of the rock-holding turtle and he touched it once. He had tried to drip blood on it to make it recognize him as its owner, but it was useless. Since then, he hadn't touched this stick because he couldn't lift it. At this moment, he wanted to give it a try. Pick it up. Han Fei grabbed the stick with both hands, but the stick was lifted with difficulty, and his face was still flushed. Bim, hoo, Han Fei gave up. It was still too heavy for him to carry. It should be known that his current strength was at least 4,000 jin, if not 10,000 jin. However, he still could not lift it. It was even heavier than the Jingu Bang. He might be able to wield the Jingu Bang a few times, but he couldn't even lift it. Forget it, you stay here for now. When I become a dangling fisher, I'll use you as a fire stick. Han Fei didn't try again, but took a deep breath and made up his mind. In the next moment, he appeared in the darkness. His body was still falling, but after 5 or 6 breaths of time, he reached the bottom. Bang! Han Fei didn't know what he smashed through. Anyway, he just smashed through it with a bang. Wood? Han Fei picked up the debris under his feet, only to find that he had smashed through a decaying wood. There was still a bit of color on the wood that was almost fading. Such a weak wood, it shouldn't be. Han Fei looked around. This was a very large room. It was about 100 square meters, and the floor of the room was littered with decorations. At this moment, it had long been covered with water moss. On the surrounding walls, there were all kinds of exquisite murals. As for the furnishings in the room, they were either tilted or broken. There were even many cracks in the walls of this room, through which he could see other rooms. Room? Did I fall from the bottom of the sea into a room? Han Fei didn't rush out but rummaged around. But as soon as he rummaged, he found that this room had been rummaged through. Many of the rotten wooden boxes had been opened, and one of the cabinets was also open. Someone has been here, looking for something. Han Fei frowned. Looking for something? Why was there a seal at the entrance? No. Han Fei's expression changed slightly. According to his understanding, someone must have come to look for something, which meant that the thing must be very precious, so someone had set a seal on the entrance above. If that thing had been found, why was the seal still there? But since the seal was still there, had the person looking for it gone out? Han Fei was shocked and perceived around with his spiritual perception. He drew out the 2 knives and walked through the door. There was no hurry to find the thing. It was important to figure out where this place was first. In the other room, it was still messy. Things were scattered all over the place. In the corner, there was a long and wide seat. However, unlike the previous room, Han Fei saw traces of battle. There was a big hole in this room, and the hole led to the outside of the room. Han Fei hurriedly ran over. Just one glance made Han Fei's heart jump. A ship? This was a huge ship. The width of the hull alone was nearly 100 meters. Han Fei hadn't seen the length yet, but it was definitely no less than 500 meters. How could such a big ship appear in an ordinary fishery? Why? On the deck, there were a lot of battle traces. When Han Fei saw that the deck was littered with knife marks, he also saw a series of small holes that spanned across the entire hull. Han Fei remained calm. Someone had fought with some kind of mysterious creature here. Those small holes were not so much holes as footprints. Han Fei could only think of crabs and multi-legged worms that could make such small footprints. But crabs crawled sideways, so it could be ruled out. Then, it should be some kind of big worm, similar to the clam worm. Han Fei became more careful. He had to find a way to remove the seal. Otherwise, he didn't know what dangers he would encounter if he wandered around here. Puzzled, Han Fei didn't know what to look for. But he guessed that it was definitely not easy to destroy. With a flash between Han Fei's eyebrows, Little Black and Little White appeared. Han Fei touched Little White's head and said, "Little White, can you feel anything special here?" "Something with spiritual energy." Little White blinked its fish eyes, turned around, and then swam straight away. Han Fei was overjoyed. "Look, Little White is really different. It's a treasure hunter." But when Han Fei saw the place Little White found, he was stunned. What the hell? A jade slip? Han Fei immediately picked up the jade slip, injected spiritual energy into it, and then he saw a combat skill. Huh? Double knife style, spirit level low quality combat skill. What kind of rubbish combat skill is this? Han Fei was about to throw it away, but on second thought, although he didn't need it, it was still a spirit level combat skill. It seemed not bad to improve the strength of the members of the fish dragons. Immediately, he stored this combat skill into Forge the Universe. Little White, can you feel anything else? As long as there is something different, I can. After searching 7 or 8 places in a row, Han Fei was almost speechless. What a broken ship. Isn't there anything decent in such a big ship? Only 7 or 8 high-quality pearls. What's the use of this thing? This time, Little White jumped to the inner layer of the cabin, wagging his tail at a rotten wooden wall. Huh? Han Fei was overjoyed and immediately broke the rotten wooden board. Sure enough, there was something special about it. Behind this wooden board was an exquisite wooden box. Even after a long time, the wooden box was still emitting a little bit of spiritual energy. Ordinary people really couldn't find it. The wooden box was carved with complicated patterns of water plants and weird arrays, with 3 words written on it: Sea Quelling Painting. Sea Quelling Painting. Han Fei didn't know what this sea quelling painting was, but if it was literal, it would be awesome. How could it be called sea quelling painting? Even the sea quelling pillar could calm the sea. Han Fei tried to open it, only to find that the box was sealed and couldn't be opened from the outside. He was about to split the box, but on second thought, what if he broke it? I'll keep it for now. Just when Han Fei put away the box, Little Black jumped out with a swish. Little Black. Why are you running around again? Bam! He heard a rumbling sound from outside, followed by the sound of someone crawling on the ground. Han Fei's face changed slightly, and with a flash of spiritual energy, he summoned Nine Tails. Nine Tails was about to pound the floor when he was kicked by Han Fei. Behave yourself. There may be your kind outside. Let's go out and have a look. Chapter 235. Han Fei and the nine-tailed mantis shrimp rushed out one after the other. Xiao Hei was always the most worrisome. Whenever there was a fight, it would always be the first to step in. Fortunately, no one could see it. Anyone who could see it would be the first to get rid of it. As soon as Han Fei came out, he saw a big black centipede nearly 20 meters long crawling on the deck, and Little Black was on the centipede's head, opening his mouth wide as if he was about to bite it. Little Black, clang. Han Fei was speechless, only to see sparks flashing on the centipede's head, which made Han Fei shiver. How strong was Little Black's bite force? It could eat mines, metals, and so on. But when it bit on the head of this big centipede, it only made sparks. It could be seen how hard this centipede's carapace was. In his eyes, data about the big centipede emerged. Spirit-absorbing centipede, a centipede that had been sealed for a long time. Because it had been sealed in darkness for a long time, it was extremely short of spiritual energy. After a long time, it had mutated into a spirit-absorbing centipede, which could absorb free spiritual energy independently and absorb the enemy's spiritual energy with each attack. Nurtures spirit-absorbing bead, which can enhance aphaxia cultivation and affinity with spiritual energy. 37 exotic, ultra quality, for 48 points inedible spirit-absorbing bead. Han Fei was speechless. Level 37. Not only was it 8 levels higher than him, but it was also an exotic creature, a very special monster with the word, ultra quality. Swish. Swish. The nine-tailed mantis shrimp rushed to the front of the big centipede. But how big was the nine-tailed mantis shrimp? How big was the spirit-absorbing centipede? Damn it, nine-tailed mantis shrimp, come back. Since the last time he fought with the purple-tailed scorpion king, he hadn't fought a second advanced creature. This spirit-absorbing centipede didn't look ordinary. Could the nine-tailed mantis shrimp beat it? The nine-tailed mantis shrimp twisted his butt and pounced on it. Because the centipede didn't find Little Black, it was furious when it saw the nine-tailed mantis shrimp, which was much smaller than itself. How dare such a small creature attack me? Boom! Boom! At the moment when the two tentacles were about to approach, the nine-tailed mantis shrimp struck out with his hammers. At the moment of the attack, Han Fei could barely see the afterimage of shrimp mantis shrimp. With 2 loud bangs, the centipede's nearly 20-meter-long body was directly hammered. It was probably confused as well. What the hell was this? I haven't even done anything yet, and I've already taken 2 punches. Han Fei couldn't help but take a deep breath. The hard armor-like carapace was hammered into 2 pieces by the nine-tailed mantis shrimp. And the nine-tailed mantis shrimp took the opportunity to chase after him and punched him again. The centipede was stunned. It had never encountered such a tough thing. It immediately swung its nearly 20-meter-long body and seemed to want to entangle the nine-tailed mantis shrimp. Swish! At the same time, flames burst out, and countless centipede claws rubbed the shell of the nine-tailed mantis shrimp, which made Han Fei's heart skip a beat. Dang dang! Not only could the nine-tailed mantis shrimp beat the enemy, but the top of its forelimbs were actually hooks. The nine-tailed mantis shrimp seemed to have turned into a praying mantis, and its 2 claws directly stabbed into the centipede. At the same time, its 7 tails were like 7 long whips, lashing the centipede fiercely. However, Han Fei's face immediately changed. The spiritual energy of the nine-tailed mantis shrimp was weakening. He immediately took out the blue sea wandering dragon daggers and instantly stabbed at the centipede. Unexpectedly, the spirit-absorbing centipede's defense seemed to be stronger than he had imagined. The blue sea wandering dragon daggers just cut its carapace and did not penetrate it. At this moment, the centipede was also furious and let go of the nine-tailed mantis shrimp. The moment the nine-tailed mantis shrimp was released, it immediately ran to Han Fei. Han Fei saw that its body was full of scratches, and 2 of its shells were broken. His face immediately became ugly. The defense of the nine-tailed mantis shrimp was not as good as that of this centipede. Yes, the gap in level was almost insurmountable. Looking at the nine-tailed mantis shrimp's big round eyes, it seemed to be sad. Han Fei was stunned. Did he see it wrong? The next moment, the nine-tailed mantis shrimp hugged his thigh, and its body trembled. Hiss! Are you crying? Han Fei was speechless and kicked it. Fuck off, don't you have the nerve to cry? You can't beat me, so you run back and cry. Look at you. Attach. Han Fei chose to attach at once. After attaching, his strength was raised to the level of a peak-level great fishing master. At this time, coupled with the blue sea wandering dragon daggers, he might be able to fight. Of course, the blue sea wandering dragon daggers could be controlled remotely. Han Fei held the water-stirring seal in his hand, ready to smash the centipede to death. Crack! Crack! The spirit-absorbing centipede ran very fast. Countless claws directly tore the deck and rushed at Han Fei frantically, while its mouth opened and closed. Han Fei looked at the huge body that surrounded him and thought, how can I let you succeed? Bam! The water-stirring seal turned into a huge phantom, smashing directly at the dense centipede legs. The deck was directly smashed through, and the hull of the ship let out a creaking sound. For a time, Han Fei and the centipede bombarded each other in the darkness. In just a moment, the entire deck area of hundreds of square meters was directly crushed into pieces of wood. Han Fei overestimated himself. Being hit by the centipede, he felt that his intestines were about to fall out. Huh! Before Han Fei could get angry, he saw more than one set of white bones in a corner under the deck. He was shocked. Why are these corpses lying there? Little Gold, come out. With a thought from Han Fei, the feather god Ray appeared. Seeing Han Fei fighting, the feather god Ray glared at the centipede and smashed its head at the centipede that was crawling over quickly. Bam! The centipede was a little stunned. The opponent's head is a bit hard. It seems that it can't beat it. The centipede seemed to be wondering whether to run away. First, a damn boxer, and now a stubborn guy. Why is it so lively today? Swish! Swish! Little Gold's 2 wings instantly swept across the centipede's claws. In Han Fei's shocked gaze, the extremely sharp centipede claws were cut off by Little Gold's wings. Wow! Is this the power of a legendary creature? It's too strong. Little Gold is only level 28. Seeing this, the centipede immediately tried to escape. Han Fei said, Little Gold, hit it. Don't let it go. At this point, how could he let it go? In order to find fusion materials for the nine-tailed mantis shrimp, Han Fei had killed countless rare creatures. Its 8th tail hadn't grown out yet. Now, such an ultra-quality exotic creature was here. How could he let it go? Squeak! Little Gold spread its wings and rushed over like a bird. Han Fei thought it was going to bite with its mouth, but to his surprise, Little Gold hit it directly with its head. Bam! The cabin was penetrated again. The head of the centipede was dented and a wound ruptured, making it roll in the sawdust in pain. And Little Black, who had been watching from the side, took the opportunity to drill into the wound and began to bite crazily. Han Fei felt his blood freeze. "You'd better pray for yourself to meet a foodie like Little Black." Han Fei said, "Little Black, don't kill it." Han Fei released the fusion state with the nine-tailed mantis shrimp. Seeing this, the latter rushed up again. Thud! Thud! At this moment, the nine-tailed mantis shrimp was awe-inspiring. "How dare you bully me just now?" The nine-tailed mantis shrimp hammered the centipede so hard that it almost began to doubt its life. Han Fei shook his head and looked at this scene. "Oh, what's so great about level 37? 2 legendary creatures, 1 mysterious creature, 3 big bosses ganged up on you. You win if you can hold on." After a while, Han Fei forcibly took back Little Black and then took the nine-tailed mantis shrimp and Little Gold away. Looking at the dying centipede, he smiled brightly. "Collect the demon." Without encountering any resistance, the dying centipede was easily collected by Han Fei. Han Fei kicked the nine-tailed mantis shrimp. "You can absorb this level of creature. If you can't grow a tail later, I will chop off your other tails." At this moment, Han Fei searched in the ruins for a long time before he found the 3 corpses. Han Fei's face changed slightly. The bones of the 3 corpses were black and some were broken. It should be at the last moment that they knew they were going to die and didn't want to become the centipede's food, so they retreated here. There were only a few swords left beside the 3 of them, and they were all broken. Among them, half of a sword was inserted in the chest of one of the corpses. Han Fei raised his eyebrows. Did they kill their own people? Shaking his head, Han Fei noticed that the hand of the person who was killed was still covering his stomach. Under the broken clothes, there seemed to be a piece of fish skin. Huh! He opened the fish skin and saw a few big words written on it. "There is a traitor, the sea-quelling painting is in the boneyard." Mobile phone station. Chapter 236. Han Fei frowned. Wasn't the sea-quelling painting in that box? Could it be that the box was empty? Forget it, I'd better find out how to unlock the seal first. The huge hull was now in a mess. It was not that the ship was not good. On the contrary, the quality of the ship should be quite good, but no matter how good it was, it couldn't withstand the daily devouring of the centipede. After collecting the centipede, Han Fei began to search inside the whole ship until he found a huge hole at the bottom of the ship. There was no seal here, so he could go down directly. Han Fei was not afraid. Before going down, he hooked the hull with a fish hook. If there was any danger below, he would come out first. When Han Fei fell to the bottom of the hole, he only felt a tingling sensation on his scalp. He saw a huge centipede, twice the size of the one outside. Hiss! Shit! Han Fei was about to escape, but he found that there was a sword stuck in the head of this centipede, a big sword nearly 1 meter wide and 7 or 8 meters long. Huh! Spirit-absorbing centipede, sealed state, a centipede that had been sealed for a long time, 44 exotic, ultra quality, 886 points inedible spirit-absorbing bead, sealed state. Han Fei gave up the plan of escaping. So the sword stuck in the head of this centipede was used to seal it. When Han Fei fell, he saw this centipede was moving, but no matter how it moved, its head couldn't move at all. Han Fei boldly landed on the head of this centipede, and immediately felt the spiritual energy in his body escaping out. Bam! 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 Han Fei kicked it hard. Do you want to die? You're nailed and you still want to absorb my spiritual energy. Han Fei took out the blue sea wandering dragon daggers and hit it with all his strength, but to his surprise, he couldn't see through this guy's shell and only left a shallow white mark on it. Han Fei's heart skipped a beat. This sword must not be pulled out. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to beat this thing. Immediately, Han Fei summoned the nine-tailed mantis shrimp and little gold. Han Fei ordered, "Smash his head." Needless to say, the nine-tailed mantis shrimp had already hit the head of the centipede twice with his hammer, but this time, the centipede's carapace didn't even dent. The nine-tailed mantis shrimp looked at Han Fei in confusion, and Han Fei kicked it away. "It's useless. Do you know the gap between you and him now?" Han Fei looked at little gold, who was slashing the centipede's head with its two wings. Seeing that it didn't work, Han Fei couldn't help but say, "Don't cut the head. Try cutting the joints." After a while, Han Fei and the two contractual spiritual beasts stared at each other. They couldn't break the defense. This was the first time that such a huge sea monster was lying under his feet, and he couldn't break its defense. Motherfucker. Is level 40 really that powerful? If Jiang Qin was here, she could definitely beat this big centipede to death, but he was not Jiang Qin. How could Little Black eat it without the strength of a hanging fisher? Han Fei was embarrassed. This thing was the real centipede demon. It seemed that he could only summon the Calabash brothers. Then Han Fei sat on the head of the big centipede. "Calabash, try harder. Suck it to death." The spiritual energy in Han Fei's body was overflowing, and the demon purification pot was also sucking the spiritual energy out of the big centipede's body. After half an hour, Han Fei felt that he had made a profit. No matter what kind of centipede you are, you can't suck more spiritual energy than my Calabash. An hour later, the centipede stopped struggling and its huge body lay on the ground. Han Fei sat on its head, grabbed its two tentacles in his hand, and said to it via voice transmission, "Big centipede, just give up. Die early and you will be a good centipede 18 years later." But this centipede couldn't speak in response. Every time Han Fei sent a voice transmission, it would shake symbolically, trying to shake Han Fei off. Han Fei smiled. "Don't struggle. All resistance is just a paper tiger. Your son is already dead. If you die early, you may be able to keep it company." Then he put the nine-tailed mantis shrimp into the calabash. "I don't want a centipede as a contractual spiritual beast. It looks scary. I'd better upgrade the nine-tailed mantis shrimp first. The spirit-absorbing centipede's level is so high that it may grow a ninth tail in the future." After about half an hour, the fusion was completed. When 9 tails came out again, the wounds on its body were all gone and another tail grew out. Han Fei was overjoyed. 8 tails. So annoying. He had fused so many rare creatures for this guy before, but it was useless. This time, he fused an exotic ultra-quality creature and only managed to grow the 8th tail. Han Fei observed that after 9 tails fused with the centipede, its level had soared and it had reached level 28. Ha! What if 9 tails fuses with the big centipede under his feet? 9 tails will definitely grow out. At that time, will 9 tails reach the peak of its shrimp life? 2 hours later, the centipede was still holding on. 2 hours later, this guy was still alive. Under the mutual absorption of spiritual energy, it still had more than 1,000 points left. 2.5 hours later, when Han Fei saw that the big centipede still had 100 points of spiritual energy left, he said to it, "Big centipede, surrender? Go and reunite with your son." Bam! The big centipede bounced and seemed to be making a final struggle. Han Fei slashed its head with a knife. "Don't be so shameless. Without spiritual energy, you will starve to death." Han Fei found something wrong. Although the spiritual energy of this big centipede was almost absorbed, it was still very powerful. It was different from the previous time when Han Fei used the calabash to absorb spiritual energy. But this big centipede didn't seem to die so quickly after its spiritual energy was absorbed. It seemed that it could still struggle. Wasn't the dragon eel he encountered powerful enough? It was still sucked dry by the demon purification pot. But this level, 44 big centipede was different. It was full of vitality. Han Fei was unhappy. Absorb it all. A few minutes later, the big centipede had no spiritual energy at all. It lay dead and refused to move, but it didn't die. Han Fei said, "I'll give you one last chance. Do you surrender? If you don't, I'll starve you to death." In the end, the big centipede was collected by the demon purification pot. It couldn't move. The giant centipede was probably feeling very aggrieved. If it could move, it could kill it with one claw. Han Fei wanted to laugh. What's the use of having a hard shell? In the end, you still ended up being collected by the demon purification pot. As soon as the big centipede disappeared, the whole shipwreck began to shake. Han Fei's heart tightened. He quickly took back the 9-tailed mantis shrimp and little gold, and then carried the big sword 7 or 8 meters long and began to swim out. Hey! It's much lighter than a stick. As soon as Han Fei swam out of the hole, he saw Jiang Qin's figure suddenly appear in the dust. Jiang Qin looked at the huge sword on Han Fei's back and then looked around. Is this a ship? Han Fei nodded. Let's go out first. I've searched the ship and found the information. Jiang Qin nodded and grabbed Han Fei. She punched the air and all the dust within a kilometer was blown away by this punch. In a few seconds, Han Fei was carried to the surface of the sea. On the fishing boat, Han Fei gasped. Sister Qin, this sword is a seal, but it's too big. Can it be smaller? Jiang Qin stared at Han Fei with bright eyes. Yes, it's a spiritual weapon with a sealed spirit. Just refine it. This was the first time Han Fei had played with a sword. After a while, the huge sword 7 or 8 meters long became a normal 3-foot-long sword, which was very light in his hand. But before Han Fei played with it, he saw Jiang Qin's scorching eyes. Han Fei smiled awkwardly. Sister Qin, do you know the sea-quelling painting? When Han Fei said the words, sea-quelling painting, Jiang Qin's body suddenly trembled and her face turned a little red. Did you find information about the sea-quelling painting below? Cell phone site. Chapter 237. Han Fei took a breath. There must be a big secret in this sea-quelling painting. Is it an unparalleled super treasure? Han Fei took out the box with the words, sea-quelling painting, written on it, and Jiang Qin's eyes almost popped out. Han Fei hurriedly said, Sister Qin, don't get excited. See if there's anything in this box. Jiang Qin nodded and took the box. Spiritual energy surged in her hands, and the array on the box glowed with a strange light. After a while, the box was opened with a bang. But as Han Fei expected, the box was empty. Jiang Qin breathed a sigh of relief and murmured, I thought too much. Why is the sea-quelling painting in this place? She calmed down and said, if there is really a sea-quelling painting, the heavenly water village would have been trampled over by countless strong masters. Han Fei took a breath and said, Sister Qin, take a look at this. Then Han Fei took out the fish skin. When Jiang Qin saw the content on the fish skin, she suddenly stood up with a gloomy face. Han Fei asked curiously, Sister Qin, it says that the sea-quelling painting is in the boneyard. Where is the boneyard? In the 3rd level fishery. The level 3 fishery. Jiang Qin's face changed, and after a long time, she said, no, in the 3rd level fishery. Outside the level 3 fishery. Han Fei said in surprise, the unknown place. Jiang Qin nodded slightly, put away the fish skin, and said indifferently, go back. Han Fei silently controlled the fishing boat to fly back to the heavenly water village, and Jiang Qin stood on the deck, clenching her hands into fists. Han Fei could see that she was very emotional. After a long time, Jiang Qin said, what did you encounter down there? When I arrived, there seemed to be traces of a fierce battle down there. Han Fei nodded. Oh. I encountered a big centipede that could absorb spiritual energy. It fought all the way from the boat to the bottom of the boat and then into a hole. Then I found this sword, pulled it out, and then you came. Jiang Qin nodded slightly. Spirit-absorbing centipede, you are not lucky. That thing's defense power is amazing, but its attack means are not strong. Now that the seal has been broken, it should run to the level 2 fishery. Don't worry about it. Han Fei didn't speak. If I told you, you would be scared to death. The one you mentioned has now become the tail of the 9-tailed mantis shrimp. Jiang Qin looked back at Han Fei. Have you become an advanced great fishing master? Han Fei's eyes widened. I found some stones with a lot of spiritual energy in them, so I casually took some of them. After cultivating for a while, I broke through. Jiang Qin, when Jiang Qin saw the stone in Han Fei's hand, she couldn't help frowning. A low-quality spiritual stone. With the spirit-absorbing centipede, why hasn't this low-quality spiritual stone been sucked dry? I found it inside a strange box. Han Fei didn't feel guilty at all. Should he say that he could also absorb and store spiritual energy? Jiang Qin didn't take it seriously. She tried to calm herself down and said seriously, don't mention the sea-quelling painting to anyone. Remember, anyone, including the students and teachers of the 4th Academy, okay? Han Fei scratched his head. Sister Qin, what is this sea-quelling painting? You don't have to know. I thought they just went to explore a certain secret realm and were trapped in it. But now I find that I was wrong. They actually went to find this sea-quelling painting. Han Fei, even if you have a chance to go to the unknown place in the future, don't try it. Han Fei was confused. It seemed to be a big deal, but he didn't understand. He looked confused and didn't feel anything. Then Jiang Qin said to Han Fei, I won't ask you to help me find him in the future. This matter is more complicated than I thought. Han Fei blinked and said, Sister Qin, are you going to this boneyard by yourself? Jiang Qin didn't speak but said, you don't have to worry about it. It's enough for you to rest in the Heavenly Water Village for a few days. Go back to school early. As far as I know, your comprehensive strength is far from enough. Don't think you are invincible just because you have been to the level 2 fishery. You haven't been to the level 3 fishery. Han Fei blinked again. Is she driving me away? After returning to the Heavenly Water Village, Han Fei happened to see He Xiaoyu, Wang Baiyu, and Xia Wushuang preparing to go to sea. He Xiaoyu saw Han Fei from a distance and hurriedly shouted, Han Fei. Han Fei also saw them, but he didn't have the time to talk to them now. The matter of the sea-quelling painting was definitely a very serious matter. Damn old Jiang, there must be a lot of things that he hasn't taught me yet. I don't want Jiang Qin and old Jiang to be gone as soon as I look back. Han Fei just waved at them and said, I still have something to do. Go ahead. I'll play with you later. Then he hurriedly followed Jiang Qin to the plantation. The smile on He Xiaoyu's face disappeared and her hands drooped. She snorted. Asshole, you didn't even come to say hello to me. Wang Baiyu frowned. Han Fei seems to be in a hurry. Something must have happened. Let's come back in 2 days and have a meal with him. This was just a small trick and Han Fei didn't take it seriously at all. In the plantation. As soon as Jiang Qin came back, she threw the fish skin on old Jiang. Old Jiang picked up the fish skin map in confusion, and then his lazy face changed. Old Jiang narrowed his eyes and looked at Han Fei. You found it? What else did you find? Han Fei spread his hands. Nothing. Oh, there are 3 corpses, but they have all become bones, so I didn't bring them back. Jiang Qin glared at Han Fei. Why didn't you say so earlier? Han Fei was helpless. You didn't ask. Old Jiang waved his hand. Forget it. It's impossible. I just don't know whether it is in the boneyard or... Forget it, Han Fei, go and make some dishes for me tonight, and make more dumplings from a few days ago. Han Fei blinked. Grandpa, why do I feel that you are going to slip away? Old Jiang snorted. Slip away. Where can I go? I just want to have a big meal. Han Fei was skeptical. Okay, do you still want to make a hot pot? Old Jiang nodded. Of course. And drunken shrimp. In the evening, Han Fei made 8 dishes and a large basin of dumplings for the first time. In fact, for a cultivator, these things could be eaten up. As long as Han Fei wanted to, he could quickly digest them and then continue to eat. But eating was about feeling. If he kept eating, he would lose the feeling. But tonight was different. Old Jiang said, Han Fei, have a drink with me. Han Fei said in surprise, are you willing to share your wine with me? Old Jiang laughed and scolded, I know how you make wine. Do you think I will be afraid that you will drink it all? Jiang Qin only ate for a while and then went back to the house, so only old Jiang and Han Fei were left at the table, drinking from time to time. After a while, Han Fei asked, Grandpa, do you have any particularly powerful spirit gatherer combat skills that you haven't taught me? Let me tell you, I learned healing techniques in school. You didn't teach me anything. Burp, old Jiang burped and said lazily, no, I don't know any combat skills or methods. Spirit gatherers mainly depend on how you use them. When you are familiar with them, you will naturally learn them. Han Fei didn't believe him. He couldn't tell the truth from the old man's mouth. In the end, a table of dishes and a large pot of hot pot were eaten up by the two of them. The more Han Fei ate, the more confused he became. The alcohol was too strong. The next day, Han Fei stretched out, yawned, and got up from the bed, muttering, Grandpa, I can't drink like this next time. I'm still young and growing. Han Fei rubbed his eyes and walked out of the door, only to find that the old man was not lying on the recliner, and the table outside the house was still a mess, and no one cleaned it up. Grandpa! Sister Qin! Han Fei shouted and immediately shook the smell of alcohol out of his body with spiritual energy. Then he quickly walked around the house and found no one inside. The point was that the vinegar tank next to him was gone, which made Han Fei speechless. When Han Fei found a piece of broken fish skin and a jade slip on the messy table, he immediately cursed, Bastard, old bastard, didn't you say you wouldn't leave? You're too much, shameless. Cell phone site. Chapter 238. Han Fei was not in a hurry to clean up the table, nor did he want to. Han Fei took the fish skin and the jade slip to the recliner where old Jiang often slept. He opened the fish skin and saw what was written on it. Brat, I've already left after reading this letter. I'll leave this damn garden to you. I have to say, although you are not as good as me, you do have a little bit of talent. You're quite like me when I was young. You should go further and further on the path of a spirit gatherer. By the way, don't practice as much as a soul warrior in the future. It's not good to be a soul warrior. Fighting has always been about who has the bigger fist, which has something to do with the price of a soul warrior. Fine, it's up to you whether you want to listen to me or not. But since you're my half-disciple, I'll give this jade slip to you. Also, go away, and don't come to us. There were not many words left on the fish skin. Han Fei muttered, You're quite proud, aren't you? I'm not even as good as you. Do you think I don't know that you're so good at bragging? I'm your half-disciple. What have you taught me, old man? After reading it, Han Fei threw the fish skin aside and picked up the jade slip. As his spiritual energy surged, words appeared. Spirit gathering scripture. Han Fei blinked. A book on arrays? Han Fei sat up straight. He only knew one array now, which was the spirit gathering array. As the name suggested, it was to draw arrays with spiritual energy to attract the spiritual energy between heaven and earth. The effect was generally less than twice that of usual. But now, the old man had left him a book on arrays. This old man has been hiding this. Spirit gathering scripture. There seems to be something good. Han Fei quickly flipped through the spirit gathering scripture, but he was shocked as he skimmed through it. There were too many of them, all of which were various kinds of arrays. The more he read, the more he found that the level of the arrays had already involved the trapping of level 60 fish. Oh my, this old man has been hiding a lot. After flipping through the entire jade slip, Han Fei closed his eyes. Spirit Gathering Scripture. This book was a collection of ancient and modern formations. The author had collected and integrated a large number of common and exotic formations in the Thousand Star City in the past 500 years and deduced them one by one. Han Fei opened his eyes and found something he couldn't deduce for the first time. Was this Spirit Gathering Scripture written by the old man himself? Hiss! Han Fei gasped. Old Jiang, you're good at arrays, but you only taught me the most basic spirit gathering array. That's too much. Above the clouds. On a gorgeous fishing boat, old Jiang was sipping wine. Jiang Qin, who was controlling the fishing boat, said, Grandpa, you just left the spirit gathering scripture to Han Fei. Aren't you afraid that he can't learn it? Old Jiang snorted. That kid is very cunning. Since he saw such a magical thing as an array, he wouldn't let it go. Don't forget, when we first learned the spirit gathering array, this guy learned it in 9 days. Jiang Qin frowned. But you're not good at arrays. The boundless alchemy scripture is your specialty. Grandpa, you're setting him up, aren't you? Old Jiang snorted. Do you think that kid can be patient enough to learn the boundless alchemy scripture? Now it's the busiest time for the Thug Academy. In the next few years, I'm afraid he won't have time to study the boundless alchemy scripture. It's better to give him the spirit gathering scripture, so that he can go further on the path of a spirit gatherer. Jiang Qin said lightly, the spirit gathering scripture is not as simple as the boundless alchemy scripture. He learned the spirit gathering scripture for 9 days. After all, it's the simplest array. Old Jiang smacked his lips. I don't care. Just as Jiang Qin said, Han Fei didn't have a deep understanding of the spirit gathering scripture at this moment, mainly because he saw all kinds of dense arrays on it, which were much more complicated than the spirit gathering array, which made his head hurt. I'm flying in the sky and diving into the sea, hunting for treasures and exploring caves. Where do I get the time? After cleaning up the messy table, Han Fei inspected the plantation again. He found that half of the wheat he planted was gone, and almost all kinds of spiritual plants were gone. Han Fei shook his head with a smile. It seemed that the old man still liked to eat. Could he go to the unknown place to farm? Huh. This is a good way. When I go to the unknown place, I can go to the plantation first. Maybe I can find him there. After cleaning up the land, Han Fei called Li Qing and Li Gan over. The two of them were even more respectful to Han Fei now. In the past few days, their cultivation speed had increased rapidly. Li Qing, who was originally at the peak of level 9, directly broke through to a fishing master in the past 2 days. And Li Gan's strength had improved further, breaking through the bottleneck of an intermediate fishing master and becoming an advanced fishing master. Han Fei was lying on a recliner and basking in the sun at this moment. Seeing the two come in, he said, Hey, you've made a breakthrough. Li Qing nodded. Thank you for your reward, young master. Li Gan stammered, Do. Han Fei said, Okay, stop. Han Fei said leisurely, From now on, the plantation is under the protection of the fish dragons. Old Jiang and Jiang Qin have left the Heavenly Water Village, so this plantation is now mine. This is now the most important place of the fish dragons. Whoever dares to mess around in the plantation, go to the Blue Sea town and tell me. I will come back to deal with him personally. Li Qing and Li Gan were shocked, but at the same time, they looked at Han Fei in astonishment. What? The plantation is yours, young master. Han Fei patted the chair. Hey. Did you hear me? This will be the most important place of the fish dragons in the future. Li Qing immediately said loudly, Yes, young master, no one can step into the plantation casually in the future. Han Fei nodded. Okay. Not bad, after I leave, you guys can come and guard it. I'll stay here for a few more days. Go. After sending Li Qing and Li Gan away, Han Fei got up from the chair, poked his head out of the plantation, and looked around. Seeing that it was empty, he ran to the martial arts arena in the plantation. It was time to turn Nine Tails into a real nine-tailed mantis shrimp. Fuse. The fate of the level 44 spirit-absorbing centipede was decided by Han Fei. Half an hour later. On the ground of the martial arts arena, Nine Tails swung its 9 tails wildly, which were locked to the ground like diamond chains, and this guy was having some kind of indescribable impact with the ground. With a black face, Han Fei stepped forward and kicked him. Behave yourself. You've just grown 9 tails. What are you showing off for? What did the ground do to you? Nine Tails looked innocent and immediately drooped its tails, lying on the ground lifelessly, swinging its tails on the ground from time to time. Han Fei was also suspicious. The data had changed a lot. Contractual spiritual pets, nine-tailed mantis shrimp mutant mantis shrimp, has fast speed and extremely strong attack ability, is good at hiding itself and sneak attacking prey. When it grows up to its complete form, its 9 tails will turn into 9 divine chains and its combat power will be extremely strong. 30 Legend 1872 points Omnivore, prefers shrimp current state. 9 tails. Han Fei was thinking about some questions. Can my contractual spiritual beasts surpass my own level? But my spiritual beasts can't. It was the same when Little Gold was fused a few days ago. At that time, he was still a level 26 intermediate great fishing master, but Little Gold was already level 28. Han Fei wasn't sure how many levels a contractual spiritual beast could surpass his own level. Han Fei tested it and found that Nine Tails' defense power had become stronger, and the carapace on its body had become shiny and bright like oiled armor. After the attachment, his strength had also increased a lot. He tried it just now and suspected that he had almost stepped into the realm of a dangling fisher. Not only that, after this attachment, Han Fei felt that his fists were very powerful. He tried to punch, but because he was too fast and too fierce, he hammered a big hole in the ground. Wow! So I can also use the power of the nine-tailed mantis shrimp? Han Fei blinked. When he fought with Jiang Qin before, Jiang Qin's fists were as hard as black iron and couldn't be cut by swords and knives. It seemed that he could do the same now. Han Fei wondered if he should go back to school and get a couple of fist techniques to learn. It seemed that this could also be his trump card. Who knew that a spirit gatherer could fight like a soul warrior? Who knew that a soul warrior who used weapons was more powerful with his fists? Han Fei, at this moment, Han Fei heard someone calling him, hurriedly took back Nine Tails and ran out of the plantation. Cell phone site. Chapter 239. Han Fei walked out of the garden and saw He Xiaoyu, Xia Wushuang, and the others craning their heads to look into the plantation. Seeing Han Fei, He Xiaoyu quickly waved her hand. Han Fei smiled. Why are you standing at the door? Come in. I haven't eaten for a day. I'll make 2 dishes. Only 4 or 5 people came, He Xiaoyu, Xia Wushuang, Wang Baiyu, Xiang Nan, and Chen Qing. They had a good relationship with Han Fei and were the most familiar with each other in the village. He Xiaoyu asked warmly, Han Fei, where have you been these months? Han Fei paused and looked back. Where else? I went to the fishery. Han Fei didn't tell them which fishery he went to. He couldn't tell them that he went to the level 2 fishery while they were still playing in the level 1 fishery. Ever since he met He Xiaoyu last time, he knew that He Xiaoyu's goal was actually very simple. Take He Xiaoyu for example, she just wanted to be a great fishing master in this life to make up for her father's regret. Wang Baiyu, who had been trained by the family, wanted to bring glory to the family and become the best armorist of the Wang family. As for Xiang Nan and Chen Qing, to be honest, they were almost the same as He Xiaoyu. Chen Qing's talent was much worse than He Xiaoyu's. He should be happy if he became a great fishing master. But what about Han Fei? After entering the 4th academy, Xiaozhan, Wenrenyu, and even Old Bai had been reminding him intentionally or unintentionally that being a dangling fisher was the real beginning of cultivation. And he and the others also felt that what they said was very reasonable and were working hard for the brocade sachets. Han Fei always felt that since he entered the 4th academy, he must go to the level 3 fishery. He must go to the level 3 fishery. He had to go to the unknown place, right? Han Fei suddenly didn't know how to get along with them. It was not that he was unfriendly, but that his goals in life were completely different. Of course, Han Fei greeted them with a smile. Come in and sit down. Feel free to eat anything in the field. Wang Baiyu said in surprise, No way. I heard that Master Jiang of the plantation doesn't like outsiders to disturb him. Han Fei waved his hand. The old man has left. Now this plantation is mine. I can treat you to some spiritual fruits. Anyway, you can't eat many. Left? He Xiaoyu said in surprise, but we saw it yesterday, he left early in the morning. The old man didn't know anyone else in the Heavenly Water Village, so he left it to me. Inviting everyone in, Han Fei picked up some fruits from the field, and with a wave of his hand, a basin of water appeared next to him. Please help yourselves. Don't stand on ceremony. Xia Wushuang was speechless. Han Fei, how can you spirit gatherers control water? Han Fei smiled. Oh. This is just a small trick, not worth mentioning, haha. Just you wait, I'll personally cook a few dishes for you. Ordinary people don't get such treatment. He Xiaoyu said quickly, let me help you. Han Fei asked suspiciously, can you do it? He Xiaoyu said, Of course I can. Han Fei blinked and threw a plate ray to the ground. Then why don't you clean it and dig out its guts? He Xiaoyu was dumbfounded. So were Wang Baiyu and Xiao Wushuang. They had never seen this before. Is this a fucking fish? A 5 or 6 meter long fish? The most important thing was not this, but where did Han Fei get this fish? Suddenly, Xia Wushuang pointed at Han Fei in shock. A sea-swallowing seashell? You have a sea-swallowing seashell? Xiang Nan said in shock, fuck. Han Fei, where did you get it? Wang Baiyu asked, I just want to ask, what kind of fish is this on the ground? Why does it look a bit like a ray? Han Fei was a little embarrassed and said with a smile, it's a sea-swallowing seashell. My teacher gave it to me. This is a ray, a level 2 fishery. Well, an ordinary fish. Everyone looked at Han Fei. Are you kidding me? Chen Qing said in disbelief, I'm not an educated person. Don't lie to me. Although we can't go to the level 2 fishery, this is definitely not an ordinary fish in the level 2 fishery. Lionfish, pearlfish, and yellow-bone fish are the ordinary fish in the level 2 fishery. The books don't even say that there are rays in the level 2 fishery. Han Fei glared at him. Shut up. This is called a plate ray. Although it's rare, it can still be found in the level 2 fishery. I caught one by chance. Let's eat it. It'll be a waste if we don't eat it. Everyone was speechless. The word rare meant rare. Did you catch a rare fish in the level 2 fishery just to eat it? He Xiaoyu pouted. Ask. 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 You only know how to ask. Xiang Nan, come here and help me clean it up. Xiang Nan walked over with a sigh, but the fish was too big for him to clean, so he shrugged helplessly. You can't put the pot down, can you? Han Fei said, it's okay. I still have a big pot. Han Fei took out a big pot nearly 1 meter long from his sea-swallowing seashell. Usually, 8 people ate hot pot at school, and the pot was not big enough. Today, there were 6 people, so it was enough for a meal. Everyone's eyes widened. He Xiaoyu was speechless. This is a sea-swallowing seashell. It's such a precious treasure. Why did you put such a big pot in it? Everyone nodded. Look at what you put in your sea-swallowing seashell. Pot, food? Are you really going out for an adventure? You're going out for hot pot, aren't you? Han Fei said calmly, don't be so flustered. I'm starving if I don't have a meal. Xiang Nan, cut the flesh on both sides of the stingray. The flesh on that side moves a lot and is very tender. Xiang Nan, when Han Fei took out jellyfish, squid tentacles, and sea urchins from his sea-swallowing seashell, everyone was about to beat him up. They were very sure that this guy was not going out for an adventure at all, but to find food ingredients. Wang Baiyu said leisurely, this is a thorn nest sea urchin, a rare creature, everyone was used to it. Xia Wushuang was speechless. Han Fei, you really stuffed your sea-swallowing seashell with food. Han Fei said, I want to stuff other treasures too. But I don't have any, so I can only stuff food. When the hot pot began to boil and 5 or 6 dishes were placed on the table, Han Fei also took out half a jar of wine. Don't ask why, the whole jar was gone. It was all taken away by old Jiang. Han Fei asked, should we make some? Xia Wushuang nodded. Yes. When the hot pot was opened, a burst of fragrance greeted their nostrils and they almost drooled. Xiang Nan smacked his lips. Han Fei, do you usually eat this? Han Fei picked up a piece of fish and stuffed it into his mouth. No, do you think this is a yellow croaker? Just eat it if you want. We usually eat yellow croaker hot pot. It tastes the best. He Xiaoyu picked up a piece of sushi and put it into her mouth, but her eyes narrowed. This is so delicious. Is this really sea urchin meat? Han Fei thought to himself, sea urchins don't have meat, but I don't want to tell you, because I'm afraid you'll spit it out. Chen Qing ate several pieces of fish in a row and his face turned red. He suddenly said, wait a minute, there seems to be a lot of spiritual energy in this meat, and a lot of energy is pouring into my body. Wang Baiyu rolled his eyes. Of course, this is a rare fish in the level 2 fishery. If you caught it, would you stew it as a hot pot ingredient? Everyone was speechless. That seemed to be the case. How many people in the Heavenly Water Village would stew a plate ray after catching it? None, except Han Fei. For the sake of food, he would do anything, no matter how rare it was. Halfway through the meal, Han Fei was the only one eating. As for the others, Xia Wushuang was the only one who struggled to put down his chopsticks and seemed to want to eat a few more pieces. He Xiaoyu and the others had already sat on the ground and began to cultivate. The spiritual energy contained in the plate ray was not the key, but the fish that had been tempered with spiritual energy contained a lot of energy. This forced them to digest it. Otherwise, the spiritual energy in their bodies would riot. At that time, it would not be a great tonic but a great poison. Several hours later, Xiang Nan, Chen Qing, and He Xiaoyu made breakthroughs one after another and became intermediate fishing masters. Wang Baiyu was originally an intermediate fishing master. Although he didn't make a breakthrough, his strength had improved a lot. Xia Wushuang's potential was higher than Wang Baiyu's. He was the first one to get up. After getting up, he ran to the pot to fish, only to find that the fish was already gone. Han Fei said, don't fish. There's still more than half of it left. You guys take it back and eat it slowly. Xia Wushuang asked, you don't want to eat it? Han Fei said, I still have some. Xia Wushuang, cell phone website. Chapter 240. Han Fei saw Xia Wushuang and the others off with a smile. He was not naughty at all and treated them like good friends. After all, his friends in the Heavenly Water Village were really good. He Xiaoyu used to be one of them, and later he met Wang Baiyu and Xia Wushuang. On the way back, He Xiaoyu frowned and said, have you found that he is very polite now? Xiang Nan took a deep look at He Xiaoyu and didn't speak. Xia Wushuang carried the plate ray and smacked his lips. Do you want him to be rude to you? Wang Baiyu shook his head slightly. We're estranged. Although Han Fei tries to act the same as before, we're still estranged. Because we're at a different level. Do you really think it's easy to kill this plate ray? As far as I know, rays are gregarious fish. If you want to kill a ray, you have to face a group of rays first. This is the first reason. Secondly, I've never heard of rays in the level 2 fishery, but it's said that a few may occasionally run out of the undersea jungle, but only occasionally. He Xiaoyu asked, where is the undersea jungle? Wang Baiyu smiled bitterly. A few days ago, there was a big change in the stone forest, right? That's one of the 4 dangerous places. The undersea jungle ranks second, followed by the fiery mountain, the undersea jungle, the stone forest, and the piercing electricity zone. Hiss. Xia Wushuang gasped. Do you mean that Han Fei has been to the undersea jungle? Wang Baiyu said, I mean that Han Fei is growing too fast. When he was in the Blue Sea town, the 5 students of the 4th Academy suppressed the other 3 academies, and then they disappeared. They've been gone for more than 2 months. Where have they been? Chen Qing opened his mouth wide. They've been in the level 2 fishery for more than 2 months. At this time, even He Xiaoyu's heart was in her mouth. The level 2 fishery was a dangerous place, and they stayed for more than 2 months. Wang Baiyu smiled bitterly. That's why I said the gap between us is getting bigger and bigger. If they have already conquered the level 2 fishery, you can imagine where they will go next. Everyone said without thinking, the level 3 fishery. The level 3 fishery. Wang Baiyu nodded. That's for sure. I don't know if you've analyzed it, but since the Thug Academy was born, they achieved a 100-game winning streak in the Blue Sea arena, which had never been seen in 30 years. In another 2 months, they crossed the level 2 fishery and returned unscathed. Xiang Nan said, yes. They're progressing too quickly. Xia Wushuang said, so, their target must be the SAN. It should be a level 3 fishery. Wang Baiyu denied, no. Xia Wushuang was puzzled. What's wrong? Wang Baiyu narrowed his eyes. If their target is SAN. In fact, players could go to the level 3 fishery after a 100-game winning streak in the arena. Don't forget, those who can defeat the top 100 of the 3 academies will go to SAN 3. Shouldn't it be normal to go to the level 3 fishery? But they didn't. They deliberately went to the level 2 fishery. The level 3 fishery is only a transition for them. Xia Wushuang swallowed. Seriously? Are you going to tell me? Wang Baiyu nodded. Yes, their target should be the unknown place. Everyone froze in place. Xiang Nan laughed dryly. Forget it. It's too far away. I think if I have the chance to set foot on San Francisco in 3 years, I'm already a genius in the level 3 fishery. Xia Wushuang nodded. Exactly. He Xiaoyu pursed her lips. She had never thought about it. She just wanted to be a great fishing master. She had thought about fishing in the level 2 fishery in the future, but she had never thought about going to the level 3 fishery. The level 3 fishery. Her father had said, the level 3 fishery was a place where even great fishing masters could die at any time. Xia Wushuang, on the other hand, glanced at He Xiaoyu. He Xiaoyu, it's not bad to be friends. At least we can have dinner, chat, and play cards together occasionally. He Xiaoyu pursed her lips. Okay. On the second day after entertaining He Xiaoyu and the others, Han Fei asked Li Qing and the others to come over and arrange someone to take care of the plantation. He also brewed vinegar next to the house. Looking at the plantation, Han Fei said casually, I may not be back for a long time. Find me in the Blue Sea town if you need me. He knows how to find me. Li Qing nodded. Yes, young master. Han Fei patted Li Gan's arm and said, keep an eye on the plantation and eat whatever you want. Occasionally go and take care of the weeds in the field. Don't worry about running out of spiritual fruits. Just take as many as you need. As for the rest, just let them ripen, fall, and rot. New ones will soon grow. Li Gan's face turned red. Yes. Young master, I will. Definitely. Personally, before Li Gan finished speaking, he saw a jade slip thrown at him. He subconsciously took it and looked confused. Han Fei said, "This is a spirit-level combat skill. The important figures in the gang can spread it to them as long as they are reliable." Li Gan's eyes widened. Spirit level? Of course he had heard of it. Above the mortal level was the mystic level, and above the mystic level was the spiritual level. This was a whole level higher. This was simply a treasure. Of course, Han Fei threw away the dual knife art that he picked up. He didn't care about this kind of combat skill at all. Why would I practice the dual knife art instead of the million knife art? Of course, it was useless to Han Fei, but Li Qing and Li Gan hadn't seen it before. Not being able to come into contact with them was the greatest sin. Old Jiang and Jiang Qin left. It seemed that there was nothing worth staying in the Heavenly Water Village. He felt that it would be very difficult for him to come back in the future. Thug Academy. When Han Fei came back, he heard clanging sounds in the plantation. He walked in and found that Lu Renquang was smashing wheat with two large shields. Han Fei was amused. "Fatty, when did you come back?" Lu Renquang was overjoyed to see Han Fei. "I came back a long time ago. It's the 9th day. You are the only one left." Han Fei said in surprise, "Didn't we have a 15-day vacation? Why did you come back early?" Lu Renquang stretched his muscles. "I have nothing to do when I go back." Xia Shaochan also made a breakthrough. "Ha! You also made a breakthrough?" Lu Renquang's eyes widened. "No way. How long has it been?" Han Fei just made a breakthrough in the Fire Cloud Cave in the level 2 fishery. It had only been a few days, 2 months, and he had broken through again. Han Fei waved his hand and said, "If you eat too much good food, you will naturally make a breakthrough. Have you forgotten that my sea-swallowing seashell is full of seafood?" Lu Renquang shivered. "But not so fast. That was just a creature from the level 2 fishery, not a level 3 one." "From the level 3 fishery." Han Fei dragged him. "Stop knocking. Take it back and knock it slowly. I still have something to tell you." After entering the school, Xia Shaochan and Zhang Xuanyu were sparring, and Zhang Xuanyu was almost beaten to death. Seeing Han Fei come in, Zhang Xuanyu immediately shouted, "Fei! Come and help. Xia Shaochan is crazy." Han Fei waved his claws. "Xia Shaochan, hit him." Bang! Zhang Xuanyu was cut and rolled on the ground twice. Then he saw Xia Shaochan's figure disappear. Han Fei almost subconsciously tilted his body, but he was still hit by her. The show was stabbed in the stomach. Clang! Fortunately, Han Fei had adjusted his posture. Otherwise, the feeling of being pricked would be really unpleasant. Han Fei was speechless. "Xia Shaochan, don't stab people so easily, okay?" Xia Shaochan's figure suddenly appeared and she looked at Han Fei up and down. "Have you also become an advanced great fishing master?" Xia Shaochan returned empty-handed this time and was very depressed. She thought she had advanced fast enough, but who knew that Han Fei would also make a breakthrough after a trip back. Han Fei nodded. "I was lucky." Xia Shaochan put away the show. Shou replied, "Forget it, I'm not fighting anymore. Fatty, Zhang Xuanyu, you two have to work hard. Now only you two are intermediate great fishing masters." Han Fei was surprised. Xiao Bai also made a breakthrough. Zhang Xuanyu was depressed. "Alas! It's so stressful. Can't you guys let me relax?" At this moment, Luo Xiaobai came down from the treehouse and said coldly, "Get ready these days. Lu Renquang and Zhang Xuanyu, have a good time." I'm afraid that many people will come to our school to sign up in a few days. At that time, we have to act as examiners. Huh? Luo Xiaobai said, the Thug Academy is already famous. I'm afraid there will be a lot of people coming. Lu Renquang said, then I'll go and practice. Are you going to be examiners? Seeing that Lu Renquang wanted to run away, Han Fei grabbed his clothes. Don't run. I have something to say. Everyone looked at Han Fei, only to see the latter's face change. Someone robbed you of your money. Everyone. Han Fei said unhurriedly, do you know the Black River Chamber of Commerce? Lu Renquang nodded. Yes, the Chamber of Commerce that wants to catch Master Turtle. It's just an ordinary Chamber of Commerce. What happened to them? Han Fei said, they robbed the fish dragons of the technology of fish dragon cards. Cell phone site. Chapter 241. Hearing this, everyone was furious. They finally had money, but Han Fei suddenly told them that their money had been robbed. Zhang Xuanyu and the others were furious. Xia Xiaochan frowned. Let's go. Zhang Xuanyu agreed. Yes. We can't tolerate this. What's so great about the Black River Chamber of Commerce? This is clearly a forceful robbery. Lu Renquang patted his belly. This is interesting. I fight with fish in the water every day, but I haven't fought with people for a long time. Luo Xiaobai frowned slightly. I'm going to tell the teacher. Before Luo Xiaobai left, she was pulled out by Xia Xiaochan. Han Fei grinned. Han Fei grinned. Well, he didn't even need to fool a bunch of poor kids. They were easily fooled. But it was good. The business of the fish dragons shouldn't be touched by others. Not far away, Old Bai and Xiao Zhan were dumbfounded. Didn't they say that they would return to school early and directly enter the training state? As soon as Han Fei came back, they all ran away. Xiao Zhan said, I'll go and catch them. Old Bai sighed. Forget it, you go and have a look. Don't forget, our school has a share in this. This Black River Chamber of Commerce is really despicable. Don't they know that this is the source of income of our Thug Academy? Xiao Zhan was dumbfounded. Old Bai patted him on the shoulder. Go and keep an eye on them. The Black River Chamber of Commerce even wanted to buy a plantation a few days ago. What are they thinking? Xiao Zhan finally understood. Because there was an old money grubber, there were a group of young money grubbers. What could he do? He could only follow them. The three major chambers of commerce in the Blue Sea town were actually in one place. The Linglong Tower was undoubtedly the strongest, so it had a tall tower. The Black River Chamber of Commerce and the Colorful Clothes Chamber of Commerce were actually opposite, but these two were not directly open to the public and required an appointment, so normally no one went there. At this moment, the five of them came with the gang. Gang and 5 or 6 members of the fish dragons came to the door aggressively, and after seeing the sign of Black River, they went straight inside. Stop, what are you doing? Xia Xiaochan's eyes turned cold. Get lost. Han Fei comforted her. Xia Xiaochan, girls should be reserved. Watch me. Han Fei turned his head to look at the guard, and his face turned cold. Get your manager out here. Xia Xiaochan turned her head to look at Han Fei. So girls should be more reserved, but boys shouldn't. The guard's expression turned ugly. How could he lose face after being pointed at and shouted at by a group of children? Scram! The guard's aura burst out, revealing the strength of a peak-level junior great fishing master. However, in the next second, he suddenly shivered. His opponents immediately erupted with an even stronger aura. None of them were weaker than him. In the face of the sudden explosion of spiritual energy, everyone on the street looked over. This place was the CBD of the Blue Sea town, where the 3 major chambers of commerce were gathered. The Blue Sea arena was right next to it, and so was the refining hall. There were also stores opened by the rich. In this place, any small matter was no small matter, and would attract attention. Someone from the Ling Long Tower exclaimed in surprise, "Hey! Has the Black River Trading Company been provoked?" Some passers-by gave him a sidelong glance. "Oh! These boys are so powerful. Are they heavenly talents from the 3 academies?" Some people began to stop and watch. Someone from the colorful clothes trading company would stand at the door to watch the fun. The guard of the Black River Trading Company's face changed, and after saying, "Wait here," he hurried into the Chamber of Commerce. After a while, a middle-aged man came out. He was slightly taken aback when he saw the 5 of them. He naturally recognized the players who won 100 games in a row in the Blue Sea Arena a while ago. Without thinking, he knew why Han Fei and the others were here. However, the middle-aged man was still calm and asked with a fake smile, "I am Jin Yuncheng, the head of the Black River Trading Company. May I know why you are here?" Han Fei stared at the middle-aged man's eyes. "Don't you know why we are here? I'll give you 2 choices. One is to hand over the printing formula and promise never to use it, and pay 100,000 mid-quality pearls to the fish dragons. The other is that if you don't hand over the formula, the fish dragons will officially start a business war with you." Business war? It was the first time that Jin Yunqing had heard this term, but the literal meaning was easy to understand. He smiled and said, "Little friends, sorry, I really don't know what the printing formula is, but you must have evidence." The Black River Trading Company is not a fame-seeking person. Li Gang and the others behind Han Fei didn't say a word and didn't dare to speak at all. They were all great fishing masters. So powerful. How could a group of fishermen like them participate in such a battle? But Han Fei was not afraid. He sneered. "Have you heard of a saying?" Jin Yunqing's eyes narrowed into a line. "What is it?" "The barefooted are not afraid of those who wear shoes." Gang Zi, Li Gang and the others moved and lay down at the door of the Black River Trading Company. Suddenly, a member of the Fish Dragons shouted, "The Black River Trading Company is so black-hearted." They snatched the ancestral formula of the Fish Dragons. "There's no justice." Another 2 pulled open a large piece of cloth dyed red and cried, "There's no justice in this. The Black River Trading Company is robbing us by force. There's no law." There was even a man holding a wooden board high. "Black-hearted Trading Company, give me back my hard-earned money." Jin Yunqing was dumbfounded, and so were Xia Shaochan and the others. When had they ever seen such a scene? Lying down as he pleased, throwing a tantrum as he pleased, crying as he pleased. Bloody hell, all of their faces were red. "All right." Luo Xiaobai blushed and lowered her head, wishing she could find a hole to hide in. Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Rinquang looked at Han Fei in shock. "So this is what you call fighting? If you had told us to fight like this, we wouldn't have come here." Xiao Zhan, who was following them from a distance, opened his mouth wide and almost fell to the ground. The Thug Academy is too ashamed to show its face to anyone. More and more people gathered around them. Who had seen such a scene before? The more people there were, the harder Gang and the others worked. Gang and the others worked even harder. They were all hooligans in the past. What had they not done before? They had done much worse things than this. Now that they had turned over a new leaf, someone came to make trouble. Wasn't this forcing them to go back to their old profession? Jin Yunqing's face turned red with anger and he shouted sternly, "Han Fei, don't be unreasonable. If you don't leave, don't blame me for reporting you to the law enforcement team." Han Fei said with a smile, Yo. Are you angry now? Are you going to report me to the law enforcement team?" "It's okay, just report me. Don't make me feel afraid of you." Jin Yunqing widened his eyes and looked at the fearless Han Fei. For a moment, he didn't know what to do. Xia Shaochan tugged at Han Fei's clothes and said to him via voice transmission, "That's enough. If you don't feel ashamed, just leave." Han Fei responded, "No hurry. Wait a little longer, just a little longer. Before coming here, Han Fei had learned from Li Gang. Before coming here, Han Fei had learned from Li Gang. The main businesses of the three major chambers of commerce were different. The Linglong Tower basically sold everything, the Colorful Clothes Chamber of Commerce mainly did the clothing business, and the Black River Chamber of Commerce was the most amazing, specializing in selling contractual spiritual beasts. There were a large number of living marine creatures stored in the Black River Chamber of Commerce. Were contractual spiritual beasts valuable? Of course they were valuable. Ordinary people couldn't catch them, but the Black River Chamber of Commerce could help you catch them. You could even book them and catch whatever you wanted, even the level 3 fishery. They could even arrange for demonic fish in the level 3 fishery. Seeing more and more onlookers, Han Fei smiled more and more happily. Little Black must have sneaked in at this moment, right? Selling contractual spiritual beasts. I'll bite all of them to death. I'll come back in a few days and bite them again. Of course, Han Fei didn't show any reaction. He turned around and said to Lu Renquang, "Shield." Lu Renquang. Although he didn't know what Han Fei was doing, Lu Renquang still took out a shield and gave it to him. Clang, clang, clang. Fellow folks of the Blue Sea Town, attention. Today, the Black River Chamber of Commerce stole the trade secrets of the fish dragons and bullied us because we are new here. Although the fish dragons are furious, we can't resist the Black River Chamber of Commerce. Today, the fish dragons will suffer a loss. However, although the fish dragons are small, we will never yield. Today, I have decided to create a brand new casual game after the fish dragon cards. Half a month later, this new game will be officially released to the public. I hope you don't miss it when you pass by. Then Han Fei kicked Li Gang. Gang. Li Gang stood up with a swish and shouted, "In the face of the Black Heart Chamber of Commerce, the fish dragons will never yield, never yield." Mobile phone site. Chapter 242. In front of the Black River Chamber of Commerce, countless people were watching. Some were pointing at them, some were sympathetic, some were disdainful, and some were just onlookers. Someone exclaimed, "Isn't that the thug legend? Wow! They are really the 5 heavenly talents of the 4th Academy. The Black River Chamber of Commerce is too much. How can they bully a group of children?" Someone didn't believe it. I don't know if it's true, but it seems that there must be a conflict between the two. Someone said casually, "Who cares? Anyway, we can't afford the contractual spiritual beasts of the Black River Chamber of Commerce. It's good that the fish dragons are going to make a new game." Everyone was talking. Behind him, Jin Yunqing shouted, "Han Fei, do you know the consequences of maliciously slandering the Black River Chamber of Commerce?" Han Fei turned around and said provocatively, "What consequences? Do you want to hit me? Come on, try it. Believe it or not, our teacher can slap your Black River Chamber of Commerce to pieces." Seeing Jin Yunqing's angry face, Han Fei saw that Little Black had sneaked out. Suddenly, Han Fei shouted, "Attach." In an instant, the phantom of the 9-tailed mantis shrimp appeared, which startled the audience, including Jin Yunqing. Han Fei smiled. "Don't be nervous. I just want to show off my contractual spiritual beasts. Your Black River Chamber of Commerce doesn't have any, right?" Jin Yunqing gnashed his teeth. "Han Fei, do you really think the Black River Chamber of Commerce can't deal with you?" Han Fei immediately cancelled the attachment. He just hid the fact that he had taken back Little Black and Little White. Han Fei pretended to be scared. "Hey! Look at you. Okay, the fish dragons have vented their anger. I warn you, you can spread the fish dragon cards, but you must use the name Fish Dragon Cards. If one day I hear about Black River chess cards or Black Heart chess cards from another village, I'll deal with you again." Zhang Xuanyu was stunned. "You're leaving?" Han Fei asked, "Then why don't you stay here?" Zhang Xuanyu shook his head. Luo Xiaobai and Xia Shaochan were the first to slip away from the side. This was too embarrassing. They thought they were here to fight, but it turned out that they were here to act pitifully. Jin Yunchen clenched his fists. The fish dragons? How could he eradicate the fish dragons? However, at this moment, a staff member of the Black River Chamber of Commerce hurriedly walked out and said something to Jin Yunchen with a pale face. In an instant, Jin Yunchen's momentum soared, and the power of a dangling fisher burst out. Han Fei, stop! Jin Yunchen's phantom big hand grabbed at Han Fei. Han Fei looked back and was not surprised to see this scene. Jiang Qin had used similar power before, and her fist shadow was much more powerful than this big hand phantom. However, Han Fei didn't move or stop him. Lu Renquan quickly raised his shield and stood in front of them. Humph! Amidst the exclamations, the giant hand was already in front of Han Fei and the others. Suddenly, a shadow of a fist burst out from the crowd and smashed the giant hand with lightning speed. However, the fist did not lose momentum and went straight to Jin Yunchen. Boom! Jin Yunchen was sent flying, and the gate of the Black River Chamber of Commerce burst open, leaving a big hole of 7 or 8 meters in diameter. The crowd burst into exclamations, and under the shocked gazes of countless people, Xiao Zhan's figure walked out of the crowd. Humph! How dare you attack the students of my academy? Who gave you the courage? Han Fei, Zhang Xuanyu, and the others all swallowed. This fucking fist is too powerful, isn't it? What level of power did Xiao Zhan use just now? A smile appeared on the corner of Han Fei's mouth. Teacher, you're awesome. Xiao Zhan glared at Han Fei. Go back to school. Li, who was following Han Fei, almost peed his pants. Gang and the others almost peed their pants. Was this the realm above the great fishing master level? At that moment, they felt that they were about to be torn apart. It was simply too terrifying. However, when they thought about it, they were all shocked. So what if the Black River Chamber of Commerce is powerful? Is it more powerful than the teachers of the Thug Academy? The entire Thug Academy is our shareholder, okay? We get members from the fish dragons every month. Thinking of this, they all glowed with joy. In the ruins, Jin Yunchen vomited a mouthful of blood. He was too strong. At that moment, he couldn't fight back at all. Are the teachers of the Thug Academy so strong? On the way back, Xiao Zhan frowned. Don't do this kind of thing next time. Don't embarrass the school. Han Fei smiled awkwardly. No, I won't do it again. Luo Xiaobai frowned. Today, we have completely offended the Black River Chamber of Commerce. They will probably retaliate. Han Fei said indifferently, don't be afraid. Gang Zi, hire those great fishing masters of the Black River Chamber of Commerce at double the price, and then find a random person to poison our hot pot restaurant and then be caught by us on the spot. Do you know how to do this? Huh? Everyone stopped and looked at Han Fei up and down. Li Gang also trembled. Ruthless. This is really ruthless. Not only ruthless, but also black-hearted. The people are from the Black River Chamber of Commerce. If they are caught on the spot, how can the Black River Chamber of Commerce get away with it? Their reputation will be tarnished. Han Fei smiled dryly. Don't look at me like this. This kind of thing may really happen. In the food industry, this kind of means is too common. Instead of waiting for others to do it, we might as well do it ourselves. If there is a similar incident, the first thing people will think of is the Black River Chamber of Commerce. Well, Zhang Xuanyu, you handle this matter. Puff, Zhang Xuanyu was dumbfounded. Why me? Han Fei said to him via voice transmission, you are the only one here who will treat a little girl to dinner. Zhang Xuanyu's expression changed several times and he gnashed his teeth. You win. Luo Xiaobai frowned. Han Fei, this kind of behavior is not righteous. Han Fei sneered. Righteous? In this endless ocean, what is righteous? Don't be too kind. Don't think that only the ocean is good. Is the floating island any worse than the ocean? In this world, the most terrible thing is always the human heart. Xiao Zhan's heart did skip a beat. This was not the first time he had heard this. Old Bai often said this. He really couldn't judge whether Han Fei was good or bad. But Han Fei was definitely a good student, so Xiao Zhan didn't take it seriously. Han Fei patted Li again. The gang said, "Come back with me. I'm going to expand the business of the fish dragons." "I'm not joking. We must do what we say." Lithe Gang was surprised. "Young master, is there really a new game?" Han Fei chuckled. "Not only a game, but I'm also going to open a fish dragon buffet restaurant in the Blue Sea town." "Forget it, I won't tell you now. You'll know it later." Half a month later. The fish dragon suddenly went on a rampage, opening 36 large shops and nearly 100 ordinary shops in the Blue Sea town. Of course, this didn't cause much trouble in the Blue Sea town. After all, the Blue Sea town was too big, with a population of 5 million. Who would pay attention to who rented what shop? But when the shops were opened, it was different. When a novel shop suddenly appeared, people would try it even if they just wanted to try it. On the 8th day of training, a major event broke out in the Fish Dragon Hot Pot restaurant, which alarmed the inspectors. It was said that a great fishing master poisoned the hot pot restaurant and was discovered on the spot. Later, the inspectors verified that this person was from the Black River Chamber of Commerce. Immediately, this incident spread, and the reputation of the Black River Chamber of Commerce was ruined. In addition, the Black River Chamber of Commerce had recently breached the contract with the contractual spiritual beasts they promised, which had been criticized by many people. It was said that when the poisoning incident spread, Jin Yunqing vomited blood in front of everyone, which was very angry. However, one thing after another pushed the fish dragons to the public, so when the fish dragons launched the Fish Dragon Mahjong House and Fish Dragon Seafood Buffet, it went very smoothly. Especially the Mahjong game, which took less than 3 days to sweep across almost half of the Blue Sea town. There were countless people who wanted to buy it every day, so the fish dragons urgently recruited a group of people from the Heavenly Water Village. Of course, he didn't care about the details, because another year's enrollment season had begun. At this moment, at the gate of the Thug Academy, a sea of people. Mobile phone station. Chapter 243. Don't push. Line up. Line up. The fat on Lu Rinquang's face shook and he shouted, "Line up and pay the assessment fee first. You can participate in the assessment with 10 mid-quality pearls." A parent shouted, "Little brother, isn't it too expensive? My son is so talented. How can we not pay?" Lu Rinquang shouted, "You don't have to pay. Those above the realm of a great fishing master don't have to pay the assessment fee. Those below the realm of a great fishing master have to pay unless they are really talented. By the way, those below the realm of a fishing master have no hope of entering our Thug Academy." As soon as Lu Rinquang said this, many people changed their expressions. In the crowd, a boy wondered, "Dad, why do you want to come to the 4th Academy? Can't we go to the 1st Academy?" The boy's father said angrily, "Shut up. If you can enter the 4th Academy, why would you go to the other 3 academies? Don't talk nonsense." Some people were indeed poor and their children were not talented enough to become fishing masters, so they chose to leave. But most people still chose to stay. In any case, compared with their future, 10 mid-quality pearls was nothing. Old Bai was far more interested in money than in the assessment. At this moment, he was sitting alone at the gate of the academy, with a long table in front of him and a big basket beside him. He was only responsible for collecting money. Those who came here because of his fame all regarded him as a lonely old man in the school and thought he was just a guard. In addition to Lu Rinquang standing at the door and shouting, Han Fei, Zhang Xuanyu, and the others were all sitting on chairs in the open space at the door. The chairs were lined up, and there was a sign hanging beside them, on which were written Spirit Gatherer, Soul Warrior, Hunter, Manipulator, and Armorist respectively. Of course, because of the shortage of manpower, the armorist Lu Renquang, who was also the school publicist, was standing at the gate and shouting. His chair was empty. Someone paid the money and stood in the open space in front of Han Fei and the others with a trembling face. Lu Renquang said, "Hey! Listen up, all of you. You can choose any of the 5 major professions. As long as you can last more than 5 minutes in the same realm, you are qualified to enter our Thug Academy. Our 5 examiners are absolutely fair and will never go easy on you. Do you understand?" The first examinee came over. The boy looked at Han Fei and the others uneasily and hurriedly said, "My name is." Before he finished, Luo Xiaobai said, "We don't need you to tell us names. It's a waste of time. Tell me your name after you become a member of the Thug Academy." The boy froze for a moment and then made up his mind. He picked up the stick and said, "I challenge the Spirit Gatherer." Zhang Xuanyu was not surprised at all. It was too normal. Everyone thought that Spirit Gatherers were the targets to be protected on the battlefield and their combat ability was extremely poor. It was not a problem for them to jump to the Spirit Gatherers at the beginning of the battle. But the problem was that they forgot where they were. This was the Thug Academy. Even if he suppressed his realm, could Han Fei be an ordinary Spirit Gatherer? Lu Renquang simply shouted, "Everyone, silence. Next, prepare. Remember, as long as you can hold on for 5 seconds, you'll pass the test." Han Fei rose and suppressed his level to that of a level 9 fisher. Picking up a regular iron rod, he said, "Come on." The young man took a deep breath. On his way here, his father had told him about the 5 of them. He was betting that the level 9 fisher Han Fei was not as strong as him. "Ah!" The young man shouted and spiritual energy erupted from the iron rod. However, Han Fei just held the rod casually, slightly leaned to the side, and slapped it horizontally. With a clang, the boy was sent flying out of the school gate. Han Fei said casually, "Don't try to use a spiritual energy explosion at the beginning. You can't beat anyone here in a spiritual energy explosion." Lu Renquang shouted, "Next." However, the people in line were dumbfounded. Damn it! One move. Han Fei didn't even bother to admit it. "When I was a fucking level 9 fisher, I could even fight with Li Ju. You want to beat me with a spiritual energy explosion? What the hell?" Then a girl came in and before Han Fei walked back, she shouted, "I also challenge the Spirit Gatherer." Then the girl took out 2 daggers. Han Fei grinned. "A junior fishing master and a hunter? Come on." Just at the moment the girl disappeared, Han Fei slightly leaned to the side. Without even using the rod, he directly punched out and the girl's petite figure was smashed away from the air and fell outside the door. Lu Renquang shouted, "Next." "Wait a minute." The girl was not convinced. She got up from the ground and said, "If you are just an ordinary junior fishing master, how can you find me?" "Yes. This girl is a hunter." "Yes, is it really okay for the examiner?" In the crowd, some people began to doubt him and there was a lot of discussion. Han Fei grinned. The sound of the wind. A half-baked hunter. Before the person arrives, the wind arrives first. How can you be a hunter? Next. Han Fei didn't care about the girl at all. This was an assessment. He wouldn't cheat on a junior fishing master. Lu Renquang said angrily, "Don't doubt our examiner. You are not worthy of our examiner cheating. You are too weak. If you doubt it, you can leave." Next. This time, no one asked Han Fei. A handsome boy said, "I choose armorist." Lu Renquang went straight to the field. "I am an armorist. Come on." Lu Renquang took out a knife from his armor box, but the handsome boy suddenly ran around Lu Renquang at a very fast speed. Lu Renquang laughed, raised his saber, and swung it in a circle. With a ding, the boy retreated 6 or 7 steps. Before he could react, a saber appeared in front of him. Lu Renkuang was speechless. What are you thinking? Do you think armorists are easy to bully just because they are slow? My speed is slow, but my knife is fast. 1, 2, let alone 5 breaths of time, none of them could even last for 2 breaths of time. Someone challenged Luo Xiaobai and was sent flying with a vine. She didn't even have to lift her butt. Someone thought he was an armorist and challenged Xia Shaochan. Before he took out his shield, Xia Shaochan had already put her dagger on his neck. Someone thought he was an armorist and challenged Xia Shaochan. On the other hand, Zhang Xuanyu was a soul warrior himself. In everyone's impression, he was the best at fighting and had the fewest challengers. The assessment went on for nearly an hour. Except for one person who lasted for 3 minutes under Lu Renkuang's attack, the rest basically only lasted 1 move. Seeing this scene, many people despaired and directly left. What was there to compete for? Was this something that a human could compete against? Lu Renkuang's voice was hoarse. He ran back to his seat and pulled Han Fei up. Go! Go! I can't shout anymore. Give me some dried fish. I'm hungry. Han Fei took out a handful of dried fish and handed it to Lu Renkuang, and then kicked Zhang Xuanyu. You're the most relaxed one. You're almost asleep. Go and shout. Zhang Xuanyu was speechless. Aren't you tired of standing there? However, Zhang Xuanyu was really bored, so he got up and walked to the door. I told you that you'd better not challenge anyone below the fishing master realm. Those who can enter the Thug Academy are all people who can challenge people above their level. If you can kill a junior fishing master as a level 9 fisher, you're welcome to challenge me. If you can't, you can go back. At this time, a young man in fine clothes walked out of the crowd, holding a rod and saying, I challenge a soul warrior. Zhang Xuanyu was shocked. Is someone finally challenging me? Zhang Xuanyu laughed. Come on. The young man moved his feet and the rod in his hand turned into dozens of rod shadows, stabbing straight at Zhang Xuanyu. Yo! Interesting, but the shortcoming is too obvious. The spiritual energy can't be balanced. I can tell it's fake at a glance. Zhang Xuanyu knocked away the real rod and swept it at the young man in fine clothes, but the young man suddenly leaned back and took out 2 daggers from his back. The show charged forward like a bolt of lightning. Ha! Wave! Zhang Xuanyu struck out with his rod, and as if there were waves rolling behind him, he was sent flying with a bang. Zhang Xuanyu dropped the rod and walked to the door. Your combat skills are good, but your control of spiritual energy is not good enough. You're both a soul warrior and a hunter, but you're not proficient in either. You're too slow. Next. At this time, someone in the team was speechless. A genius with 2 professions? How could he just win? Well, sir, can I get a refund? Old Bai rolled his eyes at the person who spoke. What are you thinking? Have you ever seen a refund after paying? Another 2 hours passed. The long line was gone, and there were only less than 100 people left. This was probably the school with the fastest enrollment speed in history. Countless people cursed when they left. What kind of school is this? They just don't want to enroll students. At this time, in front of Old Bai's table, a young man stammered, Grandpa, I only have 1 mid-quality pearl. Can I take the assessment? Cell phone site. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.